Hey guys!
Hi everyone!
We are live from Bat City Common Professionals here on Austin's East Side. It is another Sunday night, and we've got another live stream for you talking about the week's latest releases and things like that. My name is Matt.
I'm Shannon.
And again, we're going to talk about some of the releases that are happening this week. It's been an unseasonably hot week here in Austin. It's been like 90 every day, which has been terrible for my fall vibe, which I'm trying to be spooky.
It does not feel very fall-like. Sorry, I'm trying to make this go. It just now popped up on my phone to share. But yeah, it does not feel very fall at all.
Mm-mm.
It did yesterday for like a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then at night last night with all the wind, it kind of felt like fall, but
Right.
it definitely feels like it's still summer.
Feels like it's hot.
That is definitely how it feels.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got that up and going now. So,
Absolutely. Good.
yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, it's definitely not feeling very fall-like outside, and it's weird also to think that it's almost the end of October. We're like more than halfway through October, and it's still pretty hot outside on a regular basis, and yeah, but I'm very excited that it's almost Halloween.
Yeah.
There's that. Hopefully it'll get cool. It is gonna rain this week, so hopefully that'll bring some kind of cool weather following it.
For like one day.
Yeah. Hey BJ. BJ says hey.
What's up?
And Joel waved. Hi Joel.
Hey.
So that's my hair that I straightened.
Nice.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Nice. We are winding down this weekend with this Lilt bottle from Lilt Cellars. It's nice. It's a Merlot. It's very buttery.
Mhm.
Very buttery.
I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Solid HEB bottle.
Right. Like all of our wines.
Some usually. Of them are Walmart bottles.
Right. Yes.
Yes. Very fancy wine. Extremely fancy.
Yeah, we've got Brian and Gomez watching now too. They both say
cool.
Hi and
what's up, y'all?
So welcome, guys. Welcome.
Cool. We're gonna talk about some books.
Yeah, it was a big week for new #1 titles that we brought in. And then there are some of like our regular favorites that are out, and some more Alex Ross things, some more just series that you guys have been following along with. There's a lot of those that have continuations coming out, but there are but there are definitely a lot of new #1s that I can't wait to talk about. So this is exciting.
Yeah, that's great. That's super great. Let's give you guys something for everybody who is watching.
Woohoo!
You've got like 6 watchers.
Yeah. You've got that.
It's a double prize.
Oh, it's a double prize.
It's a double prize.
Dang.
This is an image prize pack.
You're going hard on prizes today.
Yeah, absolutely. We're only giving away comics.
Nice.
There's no posters or cards or anything. It's just comics this week to give away. I think we've got like 7 giveaways. You have 6?
I have 6 questions, but I'll make up another one if you have 7. So
cool. I don't know.
We'll see what we have.
There might be 7. There might be 6. Something. This you get Savant Guard #1 from Image back in the 90s. Some throwback Image comics. It's a cool one. It's neat #1. All girl team. And a brand new Spawn 310 McFarlane cover. This is the current one that's out right now.
Dang, you guys have been loving that Spawn.
I know.
Everybody's like rushing in every time it comes out to get it. So.
And especially these McFarlane covers. This is a cool prize right now.
Yeah, I'm generally speaking, when I order comics, I order more of the McFarlane variant because it's so cool that he's still doing a cover.
Absolutely. It's like Eastman's still doing the Turtles.
Turtles covers, yeah.
He always does the variant, and McFarlane always does the...
And I think that's super cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like I didn't come up with any... Well, for one, I don't have any Image questions. So I feel like I didn't come up with any questions hard enough for all the things that you brought today. So... I guess I'll start out with what was the first appearance of Yoda in comic books?
Of Yoda.
So, the green guy, wise, sage.
Oh, that Yoda.
Yeah, Yoda.
Right.
Yoda.
Not the other Yoda.
No, there's another Yoda?
Yeah. Yoda Lely.
That was terrible.
That was terrible.
So if you can tell us what the first appearance of Yoda in
A little more wine here.
comics was, you can get this Spawn issue and this Avant-Garde comic. Both of them are going to go home with you if you can tell me what the first appearance of Yoda in comic books was. And close, Phil. Oh, now we're gonna get into like a cameo, like non-cameo thing. I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Because it's so close. We are running real close. You guys are doing great. I like that Gomez said Empire Strikes Back, and that is definitely a great movie. It's the first time. Well, I guess yesterday was technically, but it was the first time that it's one of the first times that I drink out of a glass without a straw.
Right.
So it's weird. Yes, Phil, it is 41.
Cool.
Yes, Star Wars 41 is technically the first appearance of Yoda. Interesting fact, there may or may not have been a Baby Yoda appearance in Empire. So I didn't actually go and look, but Empire Zero is like popped up everywhere when I was confirming that this was Yoda's first appearance. Empire Zero kept popping up and saying that there was a Baby Yoda appearance. So I'm really curious
What is Empire Zero?
Like Empire, the Marvel event that just happened.
Oh, Empire.
Yeah.
Empire with a Y.
Yeah.
Not Empire Strikes Back. I'm
No.
like, Empire Zero. There's an Empire Strikes Back Zero comic?
No, but thanks for totally making me feel stupid for the way I pronounced that.
No, me. I'm like, oh, that Empire. The Empire. Right. I get it. No, I get it now.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, maybe Phil said it's 42 Boba Fett. Maybe, I don't know. I just always think Boba Fett's first appearance is the Star Wars Christmas special.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's in TV.
Right, but that's always what I think of. So, Phil, you are getting the Spawn and Savant-Garde prize pack. Also, happy birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Phil, I know it was Friday,
Birthday's
but
Friday.
happy birthday. Thanks for spending some of the time with the shop for your birthday. I know I wasn't here, so I feel...
You missed it.
I missed it, I know. Like Phil said, I've got work.
Right.
So, true. Yeah. So we have more prizes, and I'm looking at them, and they are some super cool prizes that Matt picked today. He's doing way better. Y'all are gonna want Matt to pick all the prizes from now on, and I'm gonna be fired from prize picking, I think.
Totally not true. You've had good prizes. You mix them up better than I do. We can get into some picks of the week.
Yeah, I don't want to start there. I don't want to start there. Oh my God, all the picks of the week are so good. I'm like, I don't want to start on any of these. I'll start here. Atlantis Wasn't Built for Tourists #2 is out. And if you guys didn't pick up #1, I think we could probably get more. I think we might have one more #1. But Atlantis Isn't Built for Tourists is about a tiny town. It's not about the underwater city like of Atlantis.
It's not?
No.
Oh.
It is actually. I mean, maybe there'll be a twist. I was
thinking this was like a Spy Island thing, and it was,
No, it's like a small town. Basically, a guy is like taking a trek across America, to go and is walking, and he ends up in this small town, and he is like, hey, there's some stuff going down here, and it's very I'll say 30 Days of Night ish in how this plays out. So, Scout Comics, it's great. Thank you, Brian. I will tell you more about that in a minute. But yeah, very 30 Days of Night ish in how it plays out. Like, he gets locked in a cell in issue 1, and he's got like a very Ben Foster esque type scene. And issue 2 kind of dives a little bit more into that story of like who came from where and what, like where they're going, and we get a lot more depth to the story, but we still kind of don't really know what's going on. So I'm very interested to see where it's going. But if you guys are looking for something a little spooky for the holidays, for Halloween, if you're looking for something a little bit spooky, this definitely has, like I said, a 30 Days of Night feel. We're seeing some monstrous energy around this story, and we're starting to see a lot of that come unfold for us. So if you guys are looking for something, Atlantis Wasn't Built for Tourists. This is out by Scout, and it's been interesting. The Scout comics can go either way. Like, sometimes they're really light on story, and you're like, oh, okay, I already finished that, and there wasn't anything to it. And sometimes they can actually have some really like detailed story. This one's definitely more on the this is just feels like an indie comic, like with a good story that they're building on. So I'm interested to see where it's going. Um, oh man, so hard to know where to go. So I guess I'll go with this one. No, I'm gonna go these two. We're gonna go these two next. So
Grendel, Kentucky #2 came out this
Grendel,
week?
Kentucky #2 came out.
Why didn't I read this?
I don't know, and I felt like you must have missed it because you got it, you pulled it for BJ, so I thought you knew it was there, but then I think you must have forgot.
I remember pulling it for BJ. Wasn't that like 3 weeks ago?
No, it was definitely this week. If you guys don't know, this is AWA Upshot. I guess I should take a drink because I said that. As you guys have pointed out at home. But AWA Upshot, this is a brand new publisher that launched during COVID. We've talked about them a lot. We love them. Everything they're doing has been amazing.
Super
and
good.
We're only going to keep talking about this forever, but also more tonight. But one of the things that this is one of the newer books, like he said, it's issue 2 of the series, and Grindle, Kentucky is a retelling of Beowulf in the 1970s in the backwoods of Kentucky, and it involves a marijuana farm and monsters and biker gangs and a badass chick who is gonna just hopefully save everybody, or not. I don't know, but it's definitely going good, and we get a little bit more of the story again in this issue too. You kind of get to see where this is going. I do love that the artist Tommy Lee Edwards is a motorcyclist himself, so he's got all these details and all these great drawings. I mean, the art is just good in general.
Are there motorcycles in the book?
Yeah, they're all biker gang people. So yeah, there's a lot of detail on like just what it would look like, and it's awesome. It's a lot of fun, and if you know the Beowulf story, there's a lot of like, oh, I see what you're doing there. Yeah, don't I don't know if you can show that.
I don't know what it is. Okay. And it's not spoiling it for me.
Well, there you go. If you know Beowulf, you're gonna see a lot of references to things. If you don't, it's just gonna be an interesting, fun read. Like you don't have to know the story. There's definitely a lot to it if you do, but if you don't know the story, you're still gonna enjoy this because it's just a fun biker gang in the 70s
with marijuana
and monsters. So, or a monster, or because it's fun. Oh yes, Phil would like a copy of issue 2. We can definitely get that for you.
Did you get issue 1, Phil? I guess so.
Yes, he said the first issue was great.
Oh, okay, great.
So yeah,
okay,
we can definitely get you that.
Sweet.
Yeah, and speaking of AWA, can you do this without spoiling the
rest
of the series?
I don't know where we are in this one.
This one leaves off with that.
It doesn't do anything for me.
I guess I can start talking about it and I'm trying to tell you, but it's
oh yeah, here.
The drone. The drone.
Oh, it's the drone one.
It's the drone one. So
yeah.
Matt's already read ahead, which is why I was
so like, this is Bad Mother from AWA Upshot. AWA Upshot sent out all advanced reader copies to all the stores, and I read the entire series. This is issue 3. To give you a frame of reference, issue 5 is coming December 30th.
I know, it's so far.
December 30th, and again, I already read it. It was great. It's fantastic. So I don't want to spoil anything on my end. I just know that it's a 5-part series.
Can you tell us what the beginning of Bad Mother is, like what the premise is without spoiling it?
There is a mom whose child gets sold into child trafficking, human trafficking.
Yeah.
And she goes to figure out the mystery and to get them back.
That's about as far as you can go without spoiling it. Yes, but she's a regular mom. She doesn't have any superpowers. She's just literally like suburban mom trying to keep up with her daughter, and she doesn't know what happened to her daughter initially, and she's kind of just, she does this amazing job of piecing it all together. And we get to this issue, and it's so great to watch her trying to look up all of the things that she needs to do. Like she's learning how to do everything in the same way that like we would probably have to learn how to do these things if something happened. But I love even just the cover where she's wearing the wine o'clock shirt. It just shows you like she is just your average like suburban soccer mom. Like you would not expect her to do this, and she is taking down like or taking on. I don't know if she's gonna take them down, but she's taking on because I have not read ahead, but she's taking on this whole ring of traffickers on her own, and she's like, I'm gonna save my daughter whatever the cost. And it is awesome to watch her do this. It is so good. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm so excited for you guys to read the next one after this.
Well, you got to read issue 3 first. So this is issue 3 of 5. I'm hoping that this is a part of AWA doing their thing where they're having seasons. So they're doing really small runs, and then a trade, and then a small like, and then hopefully like continuing the story from there. And it's kind of running in that season thing. But yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm hoping it's part of it. I'm hoping it doesn't connect to Resistance. I know that a lot of their Resistance book is their flagship, and so they're trying to really put a lot of like connecting pieces into that. And I'm kind of hoping it doesn't because I really like that it's grounded in the real world without any kind of supernatural superhero ness to go with it.
Totally, totally. I feel like this one and Devil's Highway probably don't, and hopefully don't because
Yeah.
they're kind of the best ones.
Mhm.
I think currently, I think
Yeah.
Red Border was the best,
Yes.
and you know we've got a lot of love on the live stream for Year Zero.
Yes.
It's a
You
really
guys
good
love
zombie
it.
story. I think Devil's Highway is probably my favorite.
Devil's
But
Highway is so good, and you've read ahead on that as well.
right.
So
I have read
I'm
ahead on that as well, but only one issue.
okay.
One issue ahead.
Good.
They didn't have the final one.
Good. I don't want you to know what happens in that one
Right.
first.
Right. I do know this, and
Okay.
it's good. It's very, very, very good.
Yes, so if you guys haven't picked up Bad Mother yet, you definitely want to jump in on that. And if you,
I believe we have all 3 issues.
I think so.
Yeah.
And if you aren't reading anything by AWA Upshot, get on that. You're missing out. This publisher is literally bringing everything that they've brought out has been good, and it's been such an awesome thing. We've seen, of course, in our lifetime, we saw the creation of Image, but I know for you, I don't know how you felt. I was so young. I don't remember, and I wasn't obviously working in the comic book industry or reading this many comics every day. And so seeing something like Image come out and unfold, we didn't really see it happen. We saw it happen, but we didn't know what was happening necessarily. It was just like, oh, okay, there's new comics on the shelf. Um, this is really cool to actually see a publisher that unfolds that has this, once again, has a powerhouse team behind it, like Image did when it came out. Once again, is creator focused and just comes out of the gate swinging as hard as possible.
Yeah, and there's not the cheese factor that Image had when Image came out, because Image, like the Youngblood title, and even to some degree Savage Dragon is kind of absurd.
Right.
There's nothing on this is absurd. These are all real world stories that tackle. Each one of them is tackling a major issue that's going on in the world right now, and kind of exposes it through these fictional tales that are also empowering and brutal.
Yes.
Very, very brutal, very realistic, very adult. And, I think when I started going to comic book stores, Image was new at the time. So, there were Savage Dragon posters everywhere. There was Witchblade had just started, which was an imprint. Top Cow was an imprint that came out from Mark Silvestri of Image. So it was like Witchblade everywhere when I was a kid. That was the thing. And Spawn.
Right.
And those are their own. There are no titles like that from AWA Upshot. AWA Upshot is Image, but what Image is now in terms of real world, real good indie stories.
Right. And then, in 30 years, 20 years, whatever, from now, we might be like, oh, this new company is what AWA Upshot was when it first came out. Like, or it's like what it is now instead of what it was when it first came out. So it's really cool to get to see this because I really hope that this publishing company does have longevity, and I feel like with the titles they're putting out, they're definitely going to. And with Axel Alonso at the helm, and that all-star team of people who are on their advisory board, I think there's just they're gonna keep growing. But if you're a creator, whether you're an artist or a writer, they're still open for unsolicited submissions, and you don't have to have both. So if you're a writer and if you're a writer and you don't have art, you can still submit. And if you're an artist and you want to submit like a portfolio and get used in some book, like that's a really great way.
Yeah, they're super awesome about all of that. And we'll see. The thing that I'm really enjoying about them is that every title is good.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't a title that's like, there are some that don't live up as strongly to the other ones, but they're still good.
But compared to some of the other titles on shelves in general, they're better.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
Agreed.
Definitely. But they are all very adult. These aren't ones to get for your kiddos.
No, not at all. Unless you are going to sit there and have conversations with your kid about what's going on in society.
Right. Well, kids, this is torture.
Right.
And this is what it looks like to rip intestines out of a human while they're alive.
Right. So unless you're into that, having that conversation. BJ said some of the image titles didn't age well, but they weren't cheesy at the time because they were very much a product of the early 90s. Absolutely. They definitely, which is why I brought up the point.
They were extreme.
Right. Extreme.
Everything was extreme.
Which is why I brought up the point that in 20 years from now, 30 years from now, we might be saying like, oh, this is the AWA Upshot now, but it wasn't what it was then. Right. Because we might look back and think this was a cheesy time for comics.
Well, we're going to say 2020 was a dumpster fire, and everything had to reflect what was going on. 2020, when that thing dropped, and there was so much happening, the president was buying child prostitutes and things like that, and we need to expose that in comic books,
right?
And that's what AWA is doing. It's like oh, members of authority are in charge of the human trafficking. We need to expose that. That's what's great about this.
Mm-hmm.
It exposes that. It exposes the fact that there are pandemics going on, and people dying from that, and people ignoring that.
I have this conversation with people a lot. Is that, and I know you do too, that comics are a medium that everybody assumes is for children. Or for people who don't read. And so nobody's paying attention to the fact that this is actually a very educated market of people.
Yeah.
And they are being given something by very educated people saying, like, who are educated on the world around them and are looking at the view outside their window and are, empathetic towards things and are just like, hey, here's the situation that we're experiencing right now. These are ways you can look at that. And this is ways you can make it better. And so we talk about all the time that, music and stuff isn't really talking about what's going on in the world these days the way it used to. But comics is kind of the medium that still is. Comics is like, hey, here's your handbook for your revolution.
Right.
If you want to know, how to fight when this is bad, here it is. And I think it's so great that comics still are so vocal about the fact that they're doing that. And I actually had somebody who asked me, if you, do you have to have a political leaning to get into comics? And I said, no, you just have to have a humanistic leaning, because comics are trying to teach you how to be a better person and how to help everybody around you. And if you can't support that, then there might be some comics for you. There are still some comics for you. I probably don't carry them in my store, but there are probably some comics for you. And they were like, oh, good to know. I was like, I was like, but what you'll find is that 98% of comic book fans are looking for that humanistic feeling. They want to figure out how they can become a better person and get that, good feeling and that inspiration and that hope and all of that.
Right, the superhero feeling.
The superhero feeling.
Yeah.
You want to believe you can be a superhero and that superheroes can save the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. Brian said he completely agrees with BJ. It seems that way with a lot of things from his childhood. Even though he's a teenager when Image came out, so were we, or so was I. I guess. I don't think you were technically a teenager yet. Yes.
I was 7.
and Brian, in 19, oh, you were 10.
In 1992?
I was thinking 1997.
1992.
Oh. Was it 1992 when Image started?
Spawn 1 came out in 93.
Okay.
So
I was 10 when Image started then, if that was the case. Well, Youngbloods came out first, but I skip it. Brian says this will be known as the Age of Variants. Absolutely. Age of Variants Part 2, because the 90s also really, or the early 2000s got into that. But yeah, I think this will definitely be, this is a ridiculous level of variance at times.
Well,
so,
and because we have store variants now.
Right.
Store variants have changed the dialogue on top of the regular variants that are already there.
Mm-hmm.
In 2010, Marvel started hitting it hard with 1,000 variants for all of their big books. But, now it's the store variant thing,
right.
which is insane. And Cameron and I were talking about this on Wednesday. And it's like, is this going to be a thing that carries on into the future? Are store variants going to be the one that everybody wants? And really, it comes down to the character's first cover appearance. It's like, oh, there's a new character, and the cover appearance is only on this store variant. Then it's cool.
Right.
If the cover looked good enough.
Well, and store variants are such a hard thing because the stores have to be willing to put up so much money up front to get them. So it does lend itself to a level of exclusivity that a company putting up the money for. I mean, and when it comes, instead of Marvel and DC putting up the money for, I'm not going to say Image because that's still the creators doing that.
Right.
But instead of Marvel and DC putting up that money up front, these big billion-dollar companies, that's a lie, multi-billion-dollar companies. I don't know if AT&T still falls in that category, but Disney definitely does. Instead of them doing it, it's the stores that are expected to put up enough money to buy 500, 1,000, whatever number that they want to do. They have to buy that many copies in advance.
And pay the artist.
And pay the artist to do
themselves.
And then it's like, if this book doesn't sell, they're stuck with it. And so it does bring in an exclusivity because there's not that many stores that are willing to necessarily take that chance. You have to definitely know that, like, you have the skill to sell it, that it's good enough book that it's going to sell, and that it's good enough artist to make people want it.
The other thing I heard is that you don't get to pick your artist a lot of the times.
A lot of the times you don't.
There's like a list, and they'll say, okay, one of the artists on this list is going to do. I mean, this is how we got terrible wedding photography.
Right.
At our wedding, because it was like, oh, pick your photographers off this list, and then they just send you whoever based off of it, which I assume is probably the same thing. It's like, yeah, well, you wanted this artist to do it. You want Inyuk Lee to do your variant. Well, we already gave that to Frankie's Comics. They've been doing this far longer. Oh, you wanted Jenny Frison? Well, Third Eye Comics got Jenny Frison for this one. And you wanted Carrie Andrews? Sorry, Midtown got it. So we're giving you some no-name. And hopefully the book, like you said, the book's good, and hopefully the variant is stellar because it just cost your store $8,000 or $10,000 to do the thing. If not more. And so it is going to be, it does give the power to stores that have the ability to do that, but it also does create that exclusivity ability of it. So it might bring that, and you might find more and more stores starting to do it because there is so much notoriety of knowing, like, and exposure for having a store variant. It is a big thing because, I mean, we get asked all the time. Every day, I think I hear somebody say, oh, are you guys going to have a store variant for XYZ? It doesn't matter. Whatever the next new book is, we always get asked if we're going to have a store variant for that. And, I mean, for us, that's something we would love to do, but of course it's all of those things that we just talked about, like those thousands of dollars up front for the hope that you can sell it. And so it does give the stores that have the opportunity to do that, or you have to come into it knowing that that's what you want to do. If you're like, hey, we're going to be a store and we are going to be a store exclusive store, then you can come in with that plan that, like, hey, we're doing this, we're coming out the gate with that. Right, that's going to be our model. We're just going to sell this sort of a thing, which is, again, kind of like Brian said, that we're in an age of variants. We're in an age where there's literally stores that just sell these things. And some of them are doing it very well. We saw the 616 this weekend with Megan Hutchison's crossover Days of Future Past variant. That sold out in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
People are rabid for Days of Future Past homages.
It's true. Also, thank you for supporting Megan, everybody who got that cover.
Absolutely. We saw a huge influx of love for Megan on our page, and from John at 616.
And in person, I was with Megan at the time that it was all the sales were happening. Yeah. So it was wonderful to get to actually experience that with the artist.
Right. And she's so sweet. She's like, did it sell out? Oh, that's cool.
Right.
Oh, nice.
I'm like, oh my God, humble. Like, this is going this well. This is how it's happening. And she's like, oh, thank you.
She's like, oh, wow, that's awesome to hear. That's really great.
Like, cool. She's so, like, I can't believe
so
it.
Humble.
That's so
amazing. She's like, well, I'm thinking about the next one.
Right.
Which variant?
So it's so great. And I, again, yes, Phil said Megan is a boss. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. She is wonderful. But of the best people. But
yeah. But that said, when you do something that's like an homage to Days of Future Past or ASM 300 or Hulk 181, usually those variants go fast, they go hard.
Yeah.
I know W. Maxwell Prince teased her next one yesterday. I don't know if anybody saw that there.
Right. If you don't follow W. Maxwell Prince on Instagram, I think that you should go to W. Maxwell Prince's Instagram and see the upcoming Ice Cream Man store variants, is what I'll say.
Because they're unbelievable.
Yeah.
They're unbelievable. It's a Watchmen thing. If you guys are into Watchmen, I can put that out there. So they're these Watchmen covers. I think they're going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Because again, people like the homage thing. I think that works in the store variant market.
Absolutely.
Rather than just like, oh, these characters have kind of been photoshopped on top of each other and they're a thing, you know.
Absolutely, and I think it's a great thing if you don't know the store or if you don't know the artist, like at least you know those characters and you know that experience. So it's always a great way to like do it. But I'm really excited, to your point with Cameron. I'm really excited to see where the store variant market goes, because I think it's fun. It's fun to we did with Action 1000. You being a huge Superman fan, we had like a Pokemon experience for a little bit there where we were like, oh, we got to get all of these. And so I do think it's fun. I think that's the fun of the store variant, is you can pick and choose which ones you want, or you can Pokemon style gotta catch them all.
And was that kind of the beginning of it? They had been
feel
going
like that's
for a
where
little
it's
bit.
really blew up, was with that Action 1000, because it was such a big celebration. There were so many more people, because before that, I know, working in comic book stores before that, like there was times where we were like, oh, we should do store variants, we should do this, and we were trying to like build to that, but it wasn't as big of a like, I don't feel like everybody had one. And like Action 1000, I definitely feel like it was huge. Phil says that's not fun for my wallet.
Right.
The Pokemon style is not fun.
Right, it's totally not fun.
Yes. BJ's and Megan's Ice Cream Man variant is amazing.
It is amazing.
It is so amazing. And Brian said it's like a $25,000 investment to get a store variant.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's an expensive thing, but that's what I think is making the exclusivity of it so valuable to collectors. Because like you said, usually it's like, oh well, what makes covers so popular right now is it is a first cover appearance of a character and things like that. Right. But I think these store variants have their own staying power, because they are so limited, because it's 25, it's 8, it's 7, it's 25, it's whatever investment for a store. 8, you said 8,000.
Oh, 8,000, 7,000, right?
Or $25,000 like investments for these stores, and so they do it's how many you want to take on, and so it does even make it more of an exclusivity factor, because that store variant might only have 500 or 200 or things like that. And so it's such a great thing it's kind of fun to see. And it kind of, in a year where we're not sitting here trying to get San Diego Comic-Con tickets or exclusivities like that are selling out, and we don't have that. I'm like, oh, what's everybody doing? Like, oh, did you get the tickets? Did you get the tickets? You don't have that. So now it's like, did you get that variant? Did you get that variant?
Right. I've never been a did you get a ticket guy. I've never gone to sat there for concert tickets. I've never sat there for San Diego tickets, but I've always sat there for Mondo posters.
Right.
I've been collecting Mondo posters for 5 years, so this is nothing new to me.
Right.
These store variant things and people sitting there and clicking the button, it's like, yeah, refresh the page like we've been doing with Mondo posters for 5-6 years. It's no big deal. Action figures were doing that in the early 2000s, to get the exclusives, especially the Star Wars market, and to get all of the Power of the Force stuff that was coming out, and they were constantly limited internet exclusive ones for it, or like unpainted ones, just the resin sculpt or whatever, and some of it gets a little extreme. Again, like we all said, I'm curious to see what these variants are worth.
Yeah.
Down the line, is the Virgin variant of Venom holding the Infinity Gauntlet? Is that cover of whatever it is, Venom 7 or whatever? The first appearance of Dylan, but it's Venom holding the Infinity Gauntlet. Is the Virgin trade dress going to be more or less than the trade dress? Is anyone going to care at all?
Right.
In 20 years, or are these going to be $5 books again? We don't know.
And that's the fun of it all.
Right.
Brian wants to know if you have the Goon Mondo poster. I know the answer to this, but do you?
The Goon?
Yeah, the Goon had a Mondo. Poster, or was it an action figure? I guess I should ask.
Oh, I didn't even know that they did a Goon one.
I didn't either.
Typically, we don't get Mondo posters for comics.
Yeah.
unless they made a Goon movie.
Right, that's what I was like, or there's a
about.
figure. It could be
Right. The only ones we have are the 2 Batman ones. We have a Long Halloween one and a Batman 22 poster.
I mean, that are comic
related.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, we have more Batman ones.
Yeah. Oh, and we have the Rocketeer that Kevin Tong did from San Diego 2016, 2017.
Right. I mean, and we have more Batman ones, but they're animated series.
Right. Right. Typically, the ones we get are for horror movies. We're big horror movie collectors. We're big Godzilla collectors.
We have a lot of the Godzilla collection that would have been a gallery this year for Mondo.
Right.
But
we have a lot of those, and we have a lot of the DC movies.
Right. And you have that beautiful, wonderful thing that you got this year that is also a comic book one.
Oh, The Children of the Atom by Michael Cho.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, if you've been in the store, I'm sure I have
pulled it out and
showed you.
And if he hasn't,
half of our feed right now is going to laugh at that.
And if he hasn't, don't worry, he will. If you want to see his Children of the Atom one.
Eric Paul de la Torre was at Mondo and he
had
posters. Interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
I had no idea.
I didn't either. That's true. I'm curious to see that. May I have some more wine, sir? Yes.
Well, anyway, there's a long-winded thing about variants.
Yeah.
Good luck. Get your store variants on. There are a lot of really cool ones out there. And again, we pick them up, especially the blanks. The blank store variants have been super awesome. I don't know if you guys saw that Joker one that they did that was like green or whatever.
Right, and the pink Harley Quinn one?
Harley Quinn one from Unknown Comics was super cool. And then they did a bunch of the facsimiles. They did an Amazing Fantasy and an X-Men one and a Fantastic Four one facsimile, and those were all blank.
Ooh.
And it was like, but all the artists on them are dead.
Right.
You can't get the artist who does the interior to do a sketch on it.
Right, but you could get like your favorite Spider-Man artist.
Right. Let me get Mark Bagley to do an AF-15.
I mean, that would be kind of cool.
It would be cool.
Right, that would be pretty cool to have. Now that you said that, now I'm like, well.
Right.
Well, why didn't we get that? Brian said you did not show him your Michael Cho Children of the Atom poster.
Well, I did not know that you were into it. So next time you come by the store, and pick up your prizes.
Yeah, he'll definitely show you.
Yeah, absolutely. That said, 7 Secrets?
7 Secrets, yes. Cool. Tom Taylor doing a title at Boom. I love how many DC writers are currently also at Boom, killing it at Boom right now. I'm not going to go on a win rant, but we could definitely go on a win rant.
Something's Killing the Children.
Right. Something's Killing the Children is also good. But anyway, 7 Secrets, Tom Taylor. I actually really love this. I've talked about this series a couple times before. This is issue 3. And I kind of talk about how it's kind of like the movie Wanted, where it's like a secret society who are protecting us from the secrets of the world. But what's really great is we have a kid who, and I think I've compared it to Wanted meets Saga, because we have a kid who is the child of 2 people. Basically, there's 7 secrets that will change the world, and one of the, there's people who are set to protect these 7 secrets. And so you have somebody who's in charge of holding the case that actually has the secret written inside of it, and you have somebody who is in charge of protecting the person who's holding the case. And there is a couple who, in issue 1, we find out at the very beginning, very first page or so, a couple that is holding a case together in charge of a secret has a child. You're not allowed to do that, so the child gets raised by the society and not allowed to be their kid. And we've kind of seen him in the first 2 issues. We see him and his training. We see him growing. We see his connection to this. And now in issue 3, I don't want to go too far in because I know at least Phil is reading it. But in issue 3, he's got his challenge to see if he could be the one to protect a secret. And it's all them holding a case and seeing if they can hold on to it and not ever give up. But there is the story of it being it's his parents, of course, that were the ones who held the case, that he's kind of watched them from afar, and they've never been able to really interact with him. And there's this great scene in here with the mom, his mom, and the whole conversation is super short, but I was sitting there holding my heart while reading it, because I was like, this is so beautiful and wonderful, because he's just never had this chance, and he's always felt like he was never going to get it. And we see a lot of a conversation about his dad and interactions he never got to have with him, and then he has this conversation with his mom, and she gets to say things to him that she was never able to say before, and he talks about how those are also things his dad will never say to him. And it's such a beautiful story, and yet also like a complete like what is this action going to be? And stuff happens at the end of issue 3 where we're about to go full hard into some action. But Tom Taylor, this is actually, I think this might be my favorite Tom Taylor book that I've ever read.
And he's writing Deceased.
He's writing Deceased, which the last issue was like, oh my god, of Dead Planet. But that was like, oh my god, of Dead Planet, because I know all these characters and I just really love this.
Absolutely.
These are characters we've never heard of. This is an original concept, and it gets enough. It has a lot. It's kind of in that same vein of Wind and things like that. Is there's a lot of heart built into this, and he's building a world of a secret society, and yet something that can save our world and all of that. So he's got all of this stuff going on, and he's done it in such a really crafty, creative way, and I really like it. But also, again, there's all this heart built into it, and there's this great story of this kid who just wants to belong, and he's like, I feel like I belong here, but I also just really want a family. And it's like he gets that experience of like having a family but not, and you like, it's like one of those where we always talk about like you build your own family but you still kind of miss like the actual family that you feel like that you were born into. And so he actually has that conversation throughout the story of like, I have a place and I know I belong here technically, but like I also just really want to have parents.
It also has a very Avatar Last Airbender look to that art. I know I showed some of it, but a lot of these characters, like especially like this,
that kind of looks like Uncle Iroh, but definitely not as sage-like, but not as sage-like as the wonderful, perfect Uncle Iroh in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Strange Adventures. I can't say anything because Matt hasn't read it.
I haven't read it.
If you guys read Mr. Miracle, you know that this is Tom King and Mitch Gerads teaming up again, and they brought in Doc Shaner to really round out the art of the story, and it's so good. I can't tell you anything. This is kind of the story of Adam Strange and his wife. We see the story of them back in time, dealing with the Rand Targaryen? Nope, not Targaryen. that's Game of Thrones. I always do that.
Tree sci-fi speak.
Right, I totally 100% messed up now because now I can think of that. But
right.
Sorry guys, but yes, we see that war happening that we've heard so much about through all of DC history, but we also get to see them in this time, and Mr. Terrific is investigating them, and it's such a good thing to see. It's such a good Mr. Terrific book, actually, and getting to see that. And this issue had some emotional moments between Adam Strange's wife and Mr. Terrific, and the art is always so great. I love that it goes back and forth between the two artists' artwork. And if you guys haven't read it, pick it up. This is issue 6. I think we have all of them.
Yeah, at least second prints or things like that. And I think we still have first prints of issue 1. It does do a little bit of the 9-panel that Mr. Miracle was known for, and the same consistent faces, and the face just changes a little bit in expression as the thing goes on. I really liked that in Mr. Miracle. I thought it was a nice little way of storytelling. It was a nice nod to Dave Gibbons from Watchmen, I think. And at the same time, the story usually kind of clips along, and like Philip said, it's so good.
Yeah.
Because most of Tom King's miniseries
really are
really good.
Right. I mean, Mr. Miracle won all of the Eisners that Chip Zdarsky didn't win. So.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
I feel like you're required when you mention the Eisners to point out that Chip Zdarsky wins a million of them.
It's true.
It's like a requirement.
At the same time, I kind of sit back and I think about it. It's like, what's Chip Zdarsky doing? Daredevil.
Right. I don't.
Stillwater.
Right. Which is why Chip Zdarsky. I think he actually did. He get nominated? I think he got nominated for Daredevil, but.
Right, fine.
Which is, I mean, of course, because it was
Spider-Man Life Story was great.
Right, it was.
And then.
Right, I need Chip Zdarsky to pick something else up.
But it's like, there's constantly that online. We're getting off on a tangent again. There's constantly the online war between Donny Cates and Chip Zdarsky, and their thing is so fun to watch their banter back and forth. But Donny Cates has an omnibus of Catesverse.
Right.
Chip Zdarsky doesn't.
Right.
And it's like Chip Zdarsky's funny and blows a lot of smoke, and is a really, really, really good roaster
Yes.
in terms of wit, but Donnie has an omnibus.
Right.
There's no Zdarsky verse omnibus.
Right. I'm very curious.
And honestly, I love you, Donnie, but Daredevil's my jam.
Right.
Daredevil's my book. I've been reading that since issue 1. I'm not reading Venom.
Right.
He's not a character that I like in the same way that I like Daredevil. My name's Matt, and I'm blind in one eye.
And your dad was a lawyer.
And my dad was a lawyer. But that to say, Zdarsky's book is really good. There's not a universe that goes around it. Even Al Ewing has Immortal Hulk and Empire, and they're all kind of tying together a little bit. And there's the Threshing Place thing that kind of ties into it. And it's like, what is Zdarsky doing besides that?
Right. Well, Sex Criminals is still ongoing.
Right. He's doing the art. That
right.
Fraction's right.
Right.
So, okay. Next.
Yeah.
Stillwater, which
I'm really curious to see where it goes.
Cool. Daredevil.
Right. Well, let's get some more. Zdarsky, if you're watching, we need some more books. Because his writing is amazing. Whatever he does is always good. So get out there,
What
Zdarsky.
the hell, Chip?
Yeah. Sebastian said, is this Tom King's third story about a superhero family? Yes, because you had the Visions, and then you had Mr. Miracle, and now you have Strange Adventures.
Yeah. And this one's not his family.
Yeah.
Like, definitely Visions is the most family, and this one is the least family. But
right, and Mr. Miracle is young family. Visions is, like, established family. This
is, like, a couple.
This is, like, it's, like, the Visions is, like, a solid, picture-perfect family, in theory.
Yeah.
Mr. Miracle's the real world, like, this is what happens if you're trying to, like, have jobs and run a family. And then this is, like, what happens when you're parents and suddenly you're not anymore. Mm-hmm. And I think that he is definitely talking about parenting in all aspects in this, because the Visions is all about, like, trying to build that picture. The Visions is you don't act out in public. Like, it's the parents, it's the boomer parents who said, you don't act like that in public. We go home, we can be whatever we want, but in public, we're the perfect family. You don't have a problem. And Mr. Miracle was like, no, I can't, I haven't slept in 4 days. Like, I haven't showered in 8 weeks. This is what parent actually looks like. And this is what it's like when you lose a parent. And if we ever get
lose a parent, lose a child.
And if we ever get Bat and Cat, it'll be like, this is what it's like when you want to build a family and you can't.
I did not know they lost a child.
That's the backstory. That's what it's been in all of the backstory.
That's been in every issue?
Yeah. Yeah, because they're talking about what happened to your daughter. That's been the whole thing Mr. Terrific is investigating, is what happened to their daughter. He keeps asking since issue 1, what happened to your daughter?
Oh.
What happened to your daughter? So that's the whole thing, is they're trying to figure out what happened to... That's the Mr. Terrific investigation, is partially what happened to your daughter. So that's the whole question of, where is your child? What happened to her? And this one definitely tackles that more head on than any of them. So you'll definitely catch it in this one. Cool. And again, we get to see some Mr. Terrific moments where Mr. Terrific kind of always seems like a computer, because he is so good at everything and he knows all of the facts and he knows he can recount anything ever. And you actually kind of see Mr. Terrific as a human, really strongly in parts of this episode or issue, and I really I say episode because Tom King books read like shows.
Right.
It's just like, and we'll see that very soon, because I really feel like WandaVision is gonna very much feel like the Visions. All right. I told you guys at the very beginning that a lot of number ones that I kind of wanted to walk you through that were new this week that I loved, or just wanted to talk to you about in general, because I'm not going to say loved and then hold this next book up. Not that it wasn't okay. I'm not a fan of Steve Orlando normally, but Steve Orlando has a new book out called Commanders in Crisis, and what I actually find most interesting of this entire thing is there's a letter from Dan DiDio in the front. And it's actually, because this is an Image book, it talks about how Dan DiDio did all of the work that he did with DC Comics and then suddenly didn't have a job with DC Comics anymore. So there's some Image shade being thrown at DC for all of the stuff that DC is doing this year. So that's my favorite thing in this book, is Image and creators throwing shade at DC for being not great. So yeah, but it's basically the story of it's kind of like what Dan DiDio said is actually the best synopsis of the entire book. It's we always see crossover events in DC and Marvel and things like that, where it's like you have to bring like the Justice League together from all their separate books, and suddenly you have to make people care about all of these characters. It's kind of like we just had Empire in Marvel, and you have to make people, and we have Dark Knight's Death Metal and all these things going on, and you make people care about all these characters. But what do you do when you want people to care about the characters that they don't even know about? But it's also a crossover book, so. Uh, what is really cool about this story, particularly the thing that I actually liked about it, is these are all people who were the first minority president in their world. So it's like the first gay president on one earth, and the first woman of color president, and the first female president, and the first, like, you know, indigenous president, like, and indigenous people's president. And it's like they bring all of these people together, and they are now the commanders, as it were, in Crisis. I took me until the very, like, they don't wrap that up until the very end of the book, and I was like, I still don't understand why it's called Commanders in Crisis, but it's supposed to be like a Crisis on Infinite Earths book with all these people who are super powered people who were also the first minority president of some sort in their Earth. So, interesting concept. This is my thing with Steve Orlando. I think Steve Orlando always has interesting concepts, but I'm not a fan of his writing. So, but if you are a fan of Steve Orlando's writing, you will love this book because it is a really interesting concept. Um, and I'm curious enough to see where it goes that I would pick up issue 2. But I'm also curious to see where it goes because we have a lot of female superpowered people as a part of this Commanders in Crisis team. So I'm definitely curious to see where this goes. And yeah, it's an interesting book. New powers we don't see a lot. Like there's a superhero in here who has the power to make up words, and those words have the power to make that happen for everybody on Earth. So there's a scene where she's talking to a friend who's a writer, and she's like, "I just need your help. I have writer's block." And she makes up a word that's about finding your inspiration, and she's like, "Now you can find your inspiration, but you still have to do the work to go out and find it. But you will find it for sure because and unfortunately everything I say affects everybody. So like to create a word that says females will find their inspiration means that every female on Earth right now will find their inspiration if they're looking for it." And so I'm like, that's a really cool superpower. And so I like that he came up with powers that we don't see a lot as a concept. Again, I love Steve Orlando concepts. Not a big fan of his writing. I'm curious enough to see where this goes.
You should have put all that into the Mira series.
I don't think he did Mira in the end. I think I looked it up.
Was it Azraella?
It was one of them, or somebody. I don't know. It might have been him. I can't remember. But whoever wrote the Mira series, your writing was awful. Yes, Brian, we're definitely going to talk about that later. Sorry, Brian brought up future state. We're going to talk about that. I have notes. Yes, a little bit, and it's news. This is a new one from Vault, which you guys know I've been loving Vault comics. They've been doing great shows. Wow, I cannot talk today. They've been doing great comics this year, and this is the Devil's Red Bride. This is the story. It actually takes place in like feudal Japan when the samurai are around, and it's kind of very Mulan-esque in that there's a girl who wants to be trained as a samurai and wants to be a part of this family who's like iconic samurai from all of time. They're like the leaders of all these wars, and she wants to be trained, and her dad says that's not her place, and her stepmom tells her, "How dare you embarrass me like that in front of the men?" And so her brother gets trained. Well, of course, we find out that the brother is not necessarily the greatest warrior of all time, but she might be. And so we do get a little bit of like this woman being a total badass, and it's very dark, and there's a lot of battling. But I know we've had during book club, a lot of you brought up like you love Seven Samurai and you love all of these ancient Japanese stories. This is a great one. You guys will love it. I definitely have you down for this, Phil. Actually, Phil, I honestly thought I almost put it in your box without asking you because when I got it in, just because it is indie and amazing, I thought you might love it. So I should have just done that in the first place with a note on it. But it's so good. It's such a fantastic story, and I can't wait to see this badass samurai woman just destroy all of the people who wrong everybody in this book because it's going to be so good.
Looks pretty great. That's pretty great. And yeah, if you love samurai books, you're gonna love this.
Yeah, it's super samurai. Not super samurai like the
Cyber Squad?
Yeah.
Super Samurai Cyber Squad.
I was waiting for you to start singing it. There's no Matthew Lawrence in this
Right,
one.
if you guys remember Super Samurai Cyber Squad, drop that in the comments.
I'm gonna give you that. You got it?
No, I have nothing on this.
Okay.
I don't even know. I don't know what I read.
Okay.
I don't remember what I read.
And that is pretty much what I have to say about this.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Also, Tom
there's
King.
a lot of also Tom King, which also I didn't know that Adam Strange had a daughter. So apparently Tom King is like
going over your head right now.
It took me to read to issue 4 in Mr. Miracle before I knew what was going on. And then I went back and read the first 4 issues at the end once I was done, and it made sense.
I feel like that too, and so now I'm looking at Tom King. I'm looking way deep into Tom King to try to figure out what he's trying to tell me from the beginning. I was lost on what time period this was until the very last page.
When it tells you.
When it tells me exactly what page it is. Because there were so many, and that's not Tom King's fault. Had I come into this book blind, I probably would not have questioned it near as much, but there were so many misdirections on what this book was about. There was so much like, oh, this is going to be Rorschach 2 from Doomsday Clock. Oh, this is going to be Rorschach 1. Oh, this is going to be a new Rorschach. Oh, it's going to be this, it's going to be that I had no idea what time period we were living in. And
which is good. It's like seeing a movie without seeing a trailer.
Right. And so, but it's kind of like I read all the fan reviews before I never saw a trailer, and I went into the movie and I was like, I have no idea what the crap is going on. And I spent way more time, and because I just said this, you have to focus on the little things in Tom King books to try to figure it out. I spent all of my time reading this trying to figure out what time period it was in. I was like, well, he's on a pager, but there's no... there's no cell phones, so I don't know what time period we're in. But they kind of look like that's like 90s, but they kind of look like they're in the 80s, but they keep mentioning the 60s being so far. I was like, I'm so confused.
I didn't think of the time period once while I was reading it. I was like, oh, who are these people?
Right.
What is their motive?
Right.
Where are they trying to go with this? What
you should have been thinking, because it is definitely a mystery.
It's a detective story. Yeah.
This is like Tom King got kicked off Batman, so he was like, fine, I'll just find another character that I can make a detective story out of, and I'll do that. And that is why I get a storyline or miniseries run completely before reading them. If you're confused up to issue 4, but it all makes sense at the end, I would lose interest and never finish them. I have a 3-book minimum rule. I read every book through issue 3, and it has to at least catch my attention. I'm happy to have it unfold before me over time. I just need it to be entertaining. Mr. Miracle was definitely that while I figured it out, but I'm curious about Rorschach. It's apt because it does take place during a presidential race. Mm-hmm. And so I'm excited to see the commentary Tom King brings on that.
Yep.
And it's the Redford presidential race, which we know that Redford is president in the TV show.
Right. And there are 2 references to the TV show in the book.
There are 2 references to the TV show. I'm trying not to say anything other than that.
But yes, if you guys were wondering, it does reference the TV show. If you guys were wondering, it does reference The Watchmen. If you were wondering, it does not reference Doomsday Clock.
It does not. So far. Yes. Anthony says it's a must read. Billy said he thinks he had a mystery story with Batman. No, I don't think he does. That's why I think he's building a detective story now, because he didn't do that.
He thinks it's a mystery story?
He had a mystery story with Batman. No, I don't think Tom King thinks he had a mystery story with Batman.
You don't think he had a mystery story with Batman?
I don't think that's what he was. Well, I do in jokes and riddles and things like that. But I don't think that's what Tom King's point was with Batman. I think Tom King was trying to build heart into a story of, I think, knowing that Tom King wants Batcat to come out, and I think Tom King's entire run was about Batcat.
Yeah. Well, and Tom King wanted, the 2 things he said are that his run was about Bane.
Yes.
And Dan DiDio forced him to change it to fit to Brian Michael Bendis.
Yes.
The second thing is he wanted Batman and Catwoman to get married.
Yes.
Dan DiDio asked him to change it.
Yes.
And to fit to Brian Michael Bendis.
Yes.
And Tom King wanted to do more with the character and wanted it to keep going. Mm-hmm. But Dan DiDio gave everything to Brian Michael Bendis.
Yes.
So Tom King kind of hit a wall.
Yeah.
I think Tom King's run would have been a Joshua Williamson Flash run if they had let Tom King do the run, but they didn't.
No.
And they hired Brian Michael Bendis for way too much money and drove them into the hole. And then when Diamond shut down and was like, no, we're going to support retailers, DC was like, we are so fucked, we need money.
That's definitely.
Please, we need to form new distributors, and we're hiring competitor stores to be the new distributors. We need to break up that monopoly that's Diamond, but the new distributors aren't going to carry anything but DC.
Right.
Fuck you.
Right, it doesn't break
I'm going to drink wine.
It doesn't.
Sorry.
Definitely doesn't. Sebastian says Bendis strikes again. Right, there's definitely a moment in every live stream. Which, that said, again, I love Bendis for creating Miles Morales. I love Bendis's things like that. I just think that what he's doing at DC is not my favorite. But that said, Mark Waid is coming back to Superman. We'll see.
Is he?
Yes, he is. There's a date on it. So it is happening.
Right, they should say Wade is coming.
Right, Wade is coming. But I think they've already had Wade there for so long that it's not a new, like in the past, that it's not a new thing.
Well, with the Superman, they had the Superman with Kirby is coming, and then they did Bendis is coming.
Right, but they only do that when they're...
They should do Bendis is leaving.
It's because they do that when... They only do that when they're pulling people from Marvel, apparently.
I'm going to make that meme and share it all over the internet this week. Follow me on Twitter. It's TweetMattLive. I'm going to put that shit everywhere.
I laugh because he will.
That is going out.
Yes. Billy is love reacting to that. Billy loves that. So yes, but absolutely. And first of all, backtrack a little bit. Phil, I will totally throw all kinds of indie books in your box. You have opened up a can of worms that you will be sorry you did that.
You're gonna be poor, bro. Don't listen to Shannon.
Right, don't listen to me when it comes to indie books. You will buy them all. Renee says, I'm glad Bendis is off Superman, the only good thing in 2020. And Cameron said, I love that Bendis is leaving. There you go.
Right. Thanks for the support, y'all.
Right.
We appreciate that. Read Rorschach. Give it a read. If you enjoy Watchmen, if you enjoyed the show, read it so you can come into the shop and we can discuss and be like, what's going to happen in issue 2? Because you don't really know by the end of issue 1.
Jeff just said they can't do Bendis is leaving because they can't produce enough comics that fast.
A lot of shade here.
A lot of shade. You guys all have. Which, in case you missed it, Image is also throwing shade just about DC firing Dan DiDio in this book. I guess technically Steve Orlando is throwing shade towards...
Steve Orlando and Dan DiDio were doing a lot of things together at DC. It makes sense that Image would pick them up and be like, oh, for your small little fan base that you guys have, the people who did enjoy what they were doing at DC, here's a book for you guys.
And I'm curious to see if Dan DiDio is going to start editing books other places, because Steve Orlando has that letter from him, and I'm just curious. I'm also curious because it's a letter from Dan DiDio, and then it has Dan DiDio's thing, so I'm like, is this Steve Orlando's editorial note? Is this Image's editorial note? Or did Dan DiDio release this with his own thing? I'm actually just curious.
It sounds like they had written the book for DC.
It sounds like they wrote the book for DC.
We're talking about Commanders in Crisis really quick. It sounds like they had written the book for DC.
Mm-hmm.
And... well, this isn't going to happen. It was like almost seems like a follow-up to Heroes in Crisis, or same universe but new characters, and
it's definitely a multiverse thing, so it definitely feels like it was meant for DC.
Right, it was meant for DC, and maybe they changed names of characters, maybe they changed around some designs, but they probably were brainstorming the idea already when they were there. And DiDio and Brian Bendis and Steve Orlando and his buddies were all kind of brainstorming some ideas. Well, y'all got thrown the fuck out of DC, so you take it to Image and release it as an indie comic, which makes total sense.
Because if you want to release a comic that goes against the big two, you definitely talk to Todd McFarlane.
You talk to Todd McFarlane, and he's president right now, and he completely understands. He's like, well, of course DC fucked you.
Right.
Welcome to Image Comics, gentlemen. That makes total sense.
I just want you to do Todd McFarlane impersonations all the time. Because I married this man, and that's why. I married him for his Todd McFarlane impersonations, obviously.
Quit fucking working for Marvel. All the time.
All the time. In real life.
Anyway, read Rorschach.
Read Rorschach.
Read Rorschach. Come and talk to us about it. And I feel like we should unwrap this mystery together.
Yes.
because I
Absolutely.
feel like it's going to be one of those books where
It's-
we're all kind of solving the mystery as it goes on, in the same way that Batman's Grave did. For those of you that are reading Batman's Grave, which is an actual detective story. Um,
which also came out this week, but I don't advertise it.
right, we don't advertise it, but it is actually Batman being a detective. It's the only Batman book where he's a detective and not brooding over the city and fighting the Joker.
Tomasi was doing that in Detective, but then it got wrapped into an event. So
Right,
he
got
was
wrapped into an
doing
event.
that.
And then they added the Joker because
Right.
that's what
'Cause
sells
that's-
books for DC.
Right. Sebastian said, yes, let the hatred consume you. And thank you, Sebastian. That was beautiful. Billy said he can't post his Dan Didio can suck at meme here. You can send it to me and Matt personally.
And I'll put it on my Twitter. Follow me at TweetMattLive, where you can see these.
Yes.
These
they are all waiting. They're very excited. There are lots of
for
comments
Bendis
about.
is leaving.
They're all excited about your meme. They can't
Bendis
wait.
is leaving.
This is an Action Lab book that came out this week. It's Carmine. It's all about a woman who you can open that up.
Can you not open it? Okay.
It's another issue 1. It's about a girl who is prophesized to like get people. Oh my god, what just happened? I'm like, oh, he's laughing. I didn't get whatever notification it is. I didn't get it, so I'm scared.
It'll pop up in a sec.
But so, there's so many. This is all about a girl who she was supposed to be. She's like the daughter of the queen, but they've made her be raised by somebody who may or may not be associated with demons, and it's very Joan of Arc-esque, but also just crazy Action Lab, like random stuff. It's not the strongest book, but I am curious again to see where it goes because Action Lab has been doing some interesting things this year, so I'm curious to see where it goes. There is a lot here that could be that if unraveled into a deeper story could be really, really good. So I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to see where this goes. I don't post them, but I can start posting the Pics of the Week books again afterwards, so you guys know what they are. So that's a great suggestion, Sai. Thank you so much. But yeah, so this is Action Lab. It's Carmine. I'm just really interested. If you guys like that Knights kind of books and things like that, you might actually like it. If you like women who, I say Knights, just Joan of Arc time period. If you like that, like women going against like the demons and the women, like the things like that.
Looking at these images and the ones that you guys are seeing on your end, this looks like a very modern sniper.
It's very modern sniper. Sorry, I just say like if you like the stories of like women being like used against like the demon powers and stuff like that. Okay. And the writing is I say knights and stuff because it's very Celtic in the way that they do it. So I feel like there's going to be some tie-in to some old English or Celtic story that doesn't really come to play in this. I don't know because it's Action Lab, so it could go like that has nothing to do with anything at all.
Or it could be a super modern sniper story of a badass.
So we'll see. Right. But she's already badass. I like her. I can't wait to see where this goes.
For mature readers.
Not very much. Not the strongest written story, but I am still curious enough at the concept to see where it goes.
Stay tuned. Pick it up, or we'll still review issue 2 on the live stream and talk about where it's going.
This is what I'm most excited about all week.
Really?
This is my number one that came out this week. Oh my god. This is We Live. It's from Aftershock. I know there was a lot of buzz around it coming out, and I was like, I don't know if that's for me.
Is this the one that we read the preview of in the Previews magazine?
Yes.
It looked like it was really good. It's finally here?
It's finally here. Read this. And the way that it... so basically, the story is the Earth is being destroyed. Shocker, I know. Leonardo DiCaprio didn't work fast enough, and the Earth is being destroyed anyway. And they have come to the point where it's like, hey, we've survived all of these things, but now guess what? We're not going to survive the next thing that happens. Whatever it is, the next storm that comes, the next war, whatever it is, it's going to destroy the Earth. So there are these bracelets that came down, and they are meant for children to take them to another planet to repopulate the world, kind of like a Wall-E kind of situation, but it's only for kids. And if you live in a different place, if you don't live in one of the places near where the spaceships are there to pick up the kids, the transport ships that are going to pick up the kids, then you can bring a guardian of some sort with the kid that gets the bracelet. So this story follows a little kid, and that's so much hard I might cry trying to talk about the story. It's so good. There's a little boy,
Whoa.
and his sister finds a bracelet and she puts it on him, and she tells her parents, like, her mom her mom is dying. The mom is dying, and she tells the mom that she's gonna do whatever she can to protect the little boy. And so she's probably about 8 years older than her, maybe. No, probably not even that. Like 6 or 7 years older than her younger sibling, and she's doing everything. She's always had to be the person that's kind of the parent for the siblings, and for her little brother. And she gives him the bracelet, so he's one of the chosen people who's gonna go live on this planet. And she's telling him that he's gonna go be a superhero, and they have to follow this go on this train ride, essentially this bus ride, to get to the place where the ship is going to take him to the other world. She doesn't get to go. The guardian that takes the person to it doesn't actually get to go to the other planet. So she knows that the world is coming to an end, and she is taking her brother to be a part of this new population, and because she wants her brother to live, and she wants her brother to have this chance to be a part of something better and to have a better life than she knows she's going to have, because she's going to die, and in theory, based off of what she's been told. So she's built her little brother this superhero costume, so he knows that he's going to be a superhero, and that's all he knows. He doesn't understand like what's happening in the world because he's so young, and she's working to take him on this ride to protect him to get to that. And it is a crazy adventure, and there's just the conversations that happen in this book between people is so good. Um, I can't wait. This is Aftershock. I can't wait to see where this goes. As somebody who is about the same difference in age between like my younger siblings, and who helped like have like this impact on like my siblings and took care of them, and would have gladly put a bracelet on my kids, as I call them, my siblings, when I was little, I was trying not to cry the whole time I read this book. It's so good. If you have a sibling who's younger than you, and if you're an older sibling, you're gonna love this book. If you love like those adventure books, if you love
Heart in your comics.
Heart in your comics,
Yeah.
or like Jeff said, there's a lot of there's an anime that's Origins of the Spirit of the Past. If you like things like that, there's it's very anime-esque looking. Very anime-esque looking, but it's gonna be.
And does it take place in Japan?
I don't know. It takes place on Earth.
Right. It takes place on Earth.
I don't know where.
The kid has a coolie on.
It's in the future. I don't really know. It's so good. I can't wait. Wraparound cover, by the way. I don't know if you showed that.
Yeah, I showed the wraparound cover.
And an extended fold out. And there's this old man who like is definitely just he's like, I'm your protector. I'm the person that's destined to get you to the thing. And he like drives the bus, and then he becomes like this badass for them too. So many great characters already. I can't wait to see where this fucking book goes.
This book is blowing up online right now too. We have the 1 in 15 incentive variant for sale on our eBay page. If you guys didn't know, Bat City Comic Professionals has an eBay page. And you go to eBay and go to your search bar and type in Bat City Comic Professionals as one word. I know it's long-winded, but it gets the point across. Bat City Comic Professionals in your eBay search bar, and it'll say search for user, and you say yes, and it'll show you. We are selling the 1 in 15 variant on there of this, which is super limited, along with the Walking Dead gold foil that came out this week.
Sebastian and Jeff, I definitely have you guys down to get this in your boxes. Jeff, I will sub you to this immediately, and I'll add you to Sebastian for this. But yeah, it's so good. Oh my gosh, and Sebastian and Jeff, both of you being people who like sacrifice your time to take care of your siblings, you're gonna love this book. Oh my gosh.
That's true.
It's so true. Both of you are like, I'm here for my siblings kind of people, so you're gonna love it. And it's just a beautiful book. But and Phil, yes, see Phil, I told you, don't listen to me talk about indie books.
I have money.
You can't listen to me talk indie. I will talk indie all day, forever. It's or kids books, it's whichever one you're into. But yes, So such a good book. You guys definitely need it. I will pull it for you guys who asked for it. It's gonna be good. I can't wait to see it, how it unfolds from here. So yeah, that's my. I
Cool.
told you that was my pick.
Picks of the week. A lot
of
of
the
new
week.
titles.
Lots of number ones. I'm excited.
Thanks for listening to us drone on and watch the hate consume our show. Let's give you guys something for listening through all that.
Into that.
Do you want to give them that one?
We can do this one. What do you think?
Do you remember that?
Maybe. We talked about this before. Yes, this is very also. I do. This reminds me. This book. Okay, so you're getting a copy of Skyland #1. This is very. If you read the Aragorn series, it kind of reminds me of that. The book about the dragon riders, because these people also ride dragoness type creatures. This is actually. It's kind of like if you mix Sword in the Stone with Aragon, because it is following a young girl who is like the squire for the princess who is a dragon rider, and they go on this mission essentially to be like the last dragon riders. I'm gonna call them dragons. I don't know if it's actually dragons that they ride. I'm just gonna call it that. But it's very, very much so the story of like if you followed Arthur, kind of like the Disney movie does, and the world was crazy. And she's so like oh, I want to do this, like I want to be your helper, I want to be a part of this. And the princess actually protects her, unlike a lot of the, I guess it's more Merlin, because you do see a better relationship between her and the princess, even though the princess is kind of condescending and rude. But
so it's fantasy.
It's fantasy. If you like Merlin, you're gonna like it. It's not dragons, Renee says. I can't remember. It's been a really long time since I read the book of what they're actually writing. They're writing something.
But we're giving away
We're
first
giving
issue.
it away. You can read it.
This is
you
from
can
Source
figure
Point
it out.
Press. This is a cool little indie #1, and that's the reason why I pulled it is because there's a lot of indie #1s this week, and so I thought it'd be fun to give away kind of an indie #1 that's, new and relevant and small, very small press,
full of women being awesome.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So the question going with women being awesome is just what universe does Spider-Gwen live in? If you know which Earth Spider-Gwen is from, this is your comic.
Earth ASN 300. Earth Edge of Spider-Verse #2.
Oh man, Jeff, that's rough. Jeff said thank you for all of that, but also said try not to think of Ellie when you read this. Oh, that's.
Has Jeff read it?
No, but just talking about being that sibling. Oh my gosh. No, thanks, Jeff. Now I'm just thinking of Ellie taking little Audrey. Those are our nieces, but I'm just thinking of Ellie taking little Audrey out through that whole thing, because that's totally what would be the.
I have to read. I have no idea.
Right.
I have no idea. I was pulling comic pages and trying not to listen to you so that I didn't spoil it.
Yes, Billy. Yes, it is Earth 65. So you are getting this.
Bam.
Skyland comic, Billy.
Billy, you'll enjoy this.
Billy, I think you like Aragon, right? Like the dragon book.
It's not dragons.
Aragon is.
Right.
But this isn't.
This isn't.
But I'm just saying, if you like that, you'll like that. And Billy usually loves the. I know you love your YA, Billy, just like I do. Jeff said she's from the Marvel universe.
Right. We're going to talk about what came in stock this week that's not necessarily our picks, but we got still.
Yeah.
And hasn't sold out yet, because we did have a lot of titles sell out this week. Surprisingly.
A lot of titles. Wonder Woman 764 is out. This is Mariko Tamaki doing Wonder Woman. I'm very excited.
And who's doing the covers on these now?
Joshua Middleton has been doing a lot of the covers.
We were talking about this in shop the other day. I always get Joshua Middleton and Joshua Williamson mixed up. It's like, which one's the writer and which one's the artist? But they're both amazing.
Well, remember this, W, writer.
Oh, yeah. That'll do it.
Yeah. There you go.
That's a good way to do it.
So, yes, Wonder Woman has been great because there's a lack of Steve Trevor. Etta Candy is a woman of color. It's been great for that. But also she's working with Maxwell Lord. And if you guys are Maxwell Lord fans or haters, either way, you're going to love this. Gerard Way is back with more with National Anthems, which is a sequel to Killjoys. So if you were a fan of the Killjoys, you are going to love this. This is another Gerard Way. It's nice to see him back, and he can't tour, so I guess he thought, let's put out some comics. Dark Horse also. Dark Horse was the last publisher to come back after COVID, and they are still very much just kind of trickling in. So if you guys are looking to support any publishers who just need some support, I guess is the way I should say that, just in general, if Dark Horse seems to need it. So if there's anything that you love from Dark Horse that you want to order trades on, or any issues that you're like, hey, what does Dark Horse have coming out? If you want to see Dark Horse stick around, I think this is definitely the time to like kind of put some of your fandom money into Dark Horse, because they definitely have been, again, they only recently started dropping issues, and they're probably only doing like one or two an order period at that. So I think that they're really hoping this, having Killjoy's back and having Gerard Way back, is going to be big for them. But
I need Spy Island to continue. Spy Island is out of Dark Horse, and we've talked about that on previous live streams. I need that to continue.
Yeah.
For, at least into 2021.
Right.
2022. I love that.
I love
Chelsea
Kane
right now. Yeah.
I had a conversation with Josh, who is one of our subscribers, Josh Finland, because we have multiple Joshes that subscribe here. And we were talking, I was talking about Man-Eaters from Chelsea Kane, and how Spy Island is very much like Man-Eaters in the way that it's multimedia. And he actually said that her run on Mockingbird, which we just sold last week, but her run on Mockingbird also actually featured a lot of playing with the medium, and that's kind of Chelsea Kane's style as a comic book writer, is to play with the medium. So I really, really love it that Chelsea Kane does that. But if you guys are not reading Spyland, it's great.
Right. She does a lot of like photography mixed in with things, digital art mixed in with regular traditional drawn art. A lot of mixed media, a lot of advertisements in the book for things that are happening in the world.
Right, the Sand Fleas ad at the back of the last issue was great.
Right, it's great. And all the drink menu at the bar that you can read it, it's like you're reading it. Anything that they do that. I love when books, you're reading a comic book and they reference a book within the book, and then you turn the page and now all of a sudden you're holding the book.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, this is super neat. And that's how to play with comics. That's why we have this medium. It's not like a book where you're just reading it and they describe it to you.
You can actually do it.
You can read it, and you can actually hold the menu for the restaurant that they're sitting at. It's such a neat idea. And who's Chelsea Kane?
Chelsea Kane.
Chelsea Kane.
And
she's the best at it.
Man-Eaters, issue 4, issues 1 through 3 keep referencing a magazine and Man-Eaters through Image, if you guys haven't read it, you should. But Man-Eaters in issues 1 through 3 talks about a magazine that little boys are given, because in the Man-Eaters world, when little girls, teenagers, whatever you want to call them, get their period for the first time, they turn into werecats. And so they're rounded up and put into like these concentration camps to stop having periods. And there's water supply and everything is supposed to be done to keep women from ever having periods, so that there are no werecats who will kill these kids, or to kill men, because we could never possibly endanger men in America. And she has this great thing where she keeps referencing this magazine that's all about the boys, to teach them about how to be conscious of women and how dangerous they are. And so issue 4 of the series is actually just the magazine. And so when you got issue 4, it was a magazine, and you opened it up, and it was so great. And I love what they did with that medium, and just getting to do, like, you get to, as a writer, it's cool because you get to play with the idea of writing articles now, and you're writing like you're doing like a Cosmo kind of thing with different things. I love that Cosmo also is synonymous with magazines. I guess they're like the number one at this point, like idea of what a magazine looks like. I also think Teen Vogue, but I doubt you guys read it. Teen Vogue is one of the most political magazines in the world, though. You didn't know that.
Makes
but
sense.
So but it's just it's great to have this like 17 Teen Vogue kind of magazine idea that you get to do with, but artists also actually get to play with it too, so it's a lot of fun. So anyway, Gerard Way's back at Dark Horse, National Anthems, sequel to Killjoy.
Support Dark
Horse if you need something. Other thing
I'm still waiting for my book to show up.
I don't know what your book is.
It starts with red.
Did you bring it?
No.
Because you were reading it at the time, so I didn't grab it. So I will grab it at the end, because you had it in your hand. I thought you were gonna bring it up here.
No.
When you were reading it earlier.
No. Shannon puts all the books out that we talked about.
Okay,
I don't do that.
I'll grab it because I thought you were gonna bring it.
It's fine.
I want to bring it because it's so good.
The moment's passed.
No, it's not. It's gonna be the last one. talk about these.
Talk
things.
about this. We've got X of Swords. If you guys are reading X of Swords, there's a bunch of X of Swords this week. This isn't all of it.
Nope, there's one more.
Shannon is running into the other room to ferociously grab books. X of Swords has a handbook. I've had some people talk about it and some people not talk about it. Let us know what you think of the handbook if you picked it up. It's got all kinds of articles and situations as to what's going on to fill you into the backstory. This is the extended back of the Watchmen books. And if you guys read Watchmen, you know that all the stuff that happens after the comic is the best part of the book.
It's the best part. And super important if you liked the show.
Right. If you liked the show, everything came out of that and before Watchmen. And if you read Watchmen and you didn't read the articles after the book, you didn't read Watchmen. Sorry, you missed it.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you watched the show and you didn't read the Peteypedia, you missed the show.
You missed the show, 100%. I actually had some conversations in shop where, you know, it's like, hey, did you get that from the Peteypedia? What's the Peteypedia?
Right.
Oh.
Which, shout out to Billy, because we didn't know there was a Peteypedia at first, because when we were watching Watchmen, so Billy kind of threw that at us, and we were able to catch up on Peteypedia.
If you're reading X of Swords, you gotta get the handbook. Get the handbook. Get filled in on all your backstory. Cable is part of X of Swords, as well as New Mutants.
Number 13.
As well as Hellions.
We are sold out.
We're sold out of Hellions.
Yeah, because that's both cover A and the Jean Grey variant we are sold out of.
Hellions did blow up this week, but that's part of the X of Swords. So these are your 3-4 parts of X of Swords this week if you're following it.
Billy says the handbook is really good, has a few details that are mysteriously dropped in random entries. So if you guys are reading X of Swords, Billy just let you know that you're about to miss out on some things if you don't get the handbook, and Billy is all about those extra details. So
right, absolutely.
Follow that. You didn't tell them who's on that Alex Ross cover.
Oh, right. Alex Ross Colossus cover here. The Hellions one is Jean Grey, but it's long gone.
Gone forever.
Gone, sold out.
Gone forever.
Forever. They are sold out at Diamond too. So if you didn't get a Jean Grey, Alex Ross, they are long gone.
They are gone.
Same with the Amazing Spider-Man number 50 that came out this week that had Spider-Man on the cover. We sold out. Gone. Sold out the distributor. They're gone.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Jean Grey and Spider-Man.
Right. Everybody loves Spider-Man's everybody's second favorite superhero. Jean Grey is a lot of people's first favorite superhero.
Right. I'm wearing a Dark Phoenix shirt, which I'm going to talk about later in Keys.
Nice.
But I actually decided last week when I was choosing my shirts, I was like, should I wear my Dark Phoenix shirt? No, I'll save it for next week because the Jean Grey cover will be out.
And then
Gone. Sold out.
I ordered so many.
We ordered a ton. We ordered 15 or 20 copies.
You know, it is what it is.
Gone.
Captain Marvel has a new issue out this week, Bam. So we are about to get to that actually.
Yeah.
Marvel Zombies number 3 is out. I'm actually upset because we sold out on number 2 and I never got to read it, so I have no idea what's going on in number 3. But it's out, and if you're reading it, it's great.
Right. It's super cool. Anyone who was a fan of the Marvel Zombies first series has reported back great things about this new series.
Amazing Spider-Man
number
has
50.
Reached number 50.
Yeah.
If you guys are reading it, you're reading it. And you know that it's a great story. This is Nick Spencer, still on Spider-Man.
Yeah. And he's been doing a good job. He brought the Green Goblin back. Things are happening.
And you know, nobody's joined Hydra that shouldn't have. So congratulations, Nick Spencer, on not writing that again. Star Wars Darth Vader. You guys are loving this. This is one of those issues I don't have to tell you is amazing. You guys have been, if you are Star Wars fans, you're definitely picking up Darth Vader and you've been loving it. This is my last copy, I think, actually.
There's 3 Star Wars series right now. There's the Star Wars. It's being written by Charles Soule, and it's just they all go together.
Yes.
All 3 of them are kind of together right now. And it's happening between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, which is a fun universe to play around in, obviously being the best 2 movies. But whatever.
Those 2 and
obviously. Right.
It's
Absolutely.
obvious.
Absolutely.
It's very obvious.
They're all really good. It's a good time in Star Wars to talk about because the end of Empire Strikes Back is a lot of people's favorite part of all of the movies. It's a really good time to write comics about. So for them to do the main series and a Darth Vader series and then a Bounty Hunter series, because you have all the Bounty Hunters there who are supposed to go find Han Solo at the end of Empire Strikes Back. And to write a series about that is really cool. So if you guys are reading them, you're reading them.
This is my how are you going to be politically correct about Star Wars all of a sudden face? Because you are not politically correct about all of the other comics and stuff. I'm going to say politically correct. It's not really the term I'm looking for. But you are so like, this was awful, and Dan DiDio is awful, and DC is awful. But then you said, I mean, all of the movies are great about Star Wars. And I know that is not true.
There's only 3 Star Wars movies.
Got it. Okay.
Maybe
so,
Rogue One. There's
Rogue One.
There's A New Hope. There's Empire Strikes Back, and there's Return of the Jedi. They're all really good movies.
And Rogue One.
And Rogue One was really good too. There's no other Star Wars movies though. I can't think of another Star Wars movie.
There you go. I was waiting for it because I was like, this is not accurate.
Do you need the hate to consume me?
Right. Sebastian has already pointed out that it does.
Because so I will order 666 or whatever on these movies.
Order 66.
Right, 666 would have been more apt.
More apt.
But it would have been too on the nose. Which, with the rest of those series, I'm surprised they didn't just fucking go for it. Because what a fucking mess. But we need to order 66 those movies as fast as fucking possible. They need to get deleted like the original theatrical cuts got deleted.
Oh, there we go. See, that's what I was looking for.
I have those on DVD in the original release.
I think we have them on VHS too, but it's
nice.
There was also, Sai said true. My favorite meme on the internet today was it said, Hayden Christensen helps kids pick out lightsabers at Disneyland parks, and then it was like, and then underneath it, it was like repeated it, but in different things, and I was like in like all caps text, and I was like, I don't get it, and then it was like somebody's first comment was the younglings, and I was like, oh, right. We should probably not let Hayden Christensen around children Jedi, I guess.
I was like, what does Hayden Christensen have to do with Star Wars?
Darth Vader.
Right, I'm like, James Earl Jones?
Right.
That's Darth Vader. David, what's his name, played him out of the mask? That's Darth Vader.
Yes, Jeff, Charles Soule is writing the main Star Wars title right now. Jeff said that's great, it's all true, but I need to know, is my question.
Charles Soule is writing the main Star Wars. I read the number 1 and number 2 of it, and it's really good.
It's Charles Soule, of course it's good.
Yeah, it's Charles Soule's love letter to Star Wars by writing Star Wars.
Charles runs under the radar as one of the great writers at Marvel. Nobody talks about him. His She-Hulk run was fantastic. And even like there's the joke that went on Twitter a couple weeks last week, the week before, of like asking Chip Zdarsky if he learned how to like be a lawyer and be a good writer from Charles Soule, and of course Chip Zdarsky turned it into a joke. He said Charles Soule taught me how to love again. But Charles is such a solid writer. Like, he runs right in the solid rut. He doesn't do anything that you're like, oh, that was crazy, I can't believe he just did that. And he doesn't, he's never bad, so you don't talk about him as a bad writer, but Charles Soule is just a solid, all-around writer. And so I'm really like, Charles doing Star Wars, yes, I will definitely, Jeff, subscribe you to that.
Which, at this point, you may need to get a trade.
Right, because he's already at about a trade worth of issues.
Yeah, I think they're at 6 or 7.
Yeah, and then subscribe from there. So we'll work that out with you, Jeff. I'll send you a thing. But yes, it's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Star Wars, it's happening. It's great. Thanks.
And I've heard that the Bounty Hunters is actually really cool.
Really cool as well. Yes.
Yeah. That's been the one that's interested me the most, because when I was a kid, I was a fan of Bosk and IG-88 and
right.
Forlom, and I loved my Forlom action figure. I think it was cool.
Right, you're super into droids, and I've never met
killer droids.
I've never met in my life somebody who was super into droids until I met you.
Oh, I do like the pit droids too.
Right, you're super, and you always talk about IG-88.
IG-88's sweet.
Right, see, nobody says that, but you're always into droids, and I love it.
And Forlom, I guess, it's technically a droid.
Right.
He's like alien converted into droid.
Right, you're so droid happy.
It's the Terminator of it. You know, it's the Terminator. IG-88 is Terminator.
It's true.
Terminator is IG-88, as it were, because IG-88 came first. And then, such a cool droid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that fight, if you guys played Shadows of the Empire on N64, that fight with IG-88 is bonkers.
Nigel says, I have an IG88 painting hanging above me at this moment.
Fuck yeah, you do.
BJ said, gallery prequel haters. Actually, I'm not. So we'll have a conversation about that someday, BJ, because I'm not a prequel hater.
I am. Fuck those movies. That Attack of the Clones or whatever the fuck the second one is, that's the worst movie ever made ever.
You hate
Hands
Attack of the
down. It's fucking like, he saw Gladiator
Okay.
and was like, I want to make Gladiator into a Star Wars.
First of all, you only think that because you never saw all of Last Airbender and then watched the Airbender movie, so it's the second worst movie ever made. First of all.
Fair. I watched the last Airbender movie on an airplane, and I hadn't watched the show, and it was still a terrible movie.
Right.
I was like,
So,
what the fuck is going on?
Imagine watching this great cartoon that had an impact on every person who ever watched it live.
I feel like it would be like watching a live-action Princess Mononoke movie that didn't get it right.
That didn't get it right. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, and it's like, that's a beautiful, amazing story that taught me so many lessons with these great leaders and history and lovers, and it's like gone. Yeah,
all of that.
Yeah, gone.
All of that.
Because that movie had nothing for me.
No.
But
that movie had nothing for me.
That movie was at least a little cool. Attack of the Clones had no cool to it. Yoda fighting Count Dooku was not cool.
The CGI Yoda?
The CGI Yoda
which
flipping around was not fucking cool.
Because Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance has proved that puppets can fight.
Puppets can fight. You don't CGI them.
Yeah.
You just do them as puppets. Like, if they had actually hired Henson Studios to do it. But no, George Lucas had such a fucking stick up his ass that he didn't hire anybody. He was like, CGI it all. CGI it. It'll be cheaper than hiring fucking Henson. Fuck Henson. That guy's dead. At this point, I don't need to work with him. And it was like, no, dude, you totally fucked up, because Yoda's docile trainingness is like everything that you aspire to be. And he could have flipped around and wielded a lightsaber as a really cool puppet, because, like you said, in Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, the puppets throw knives.
The puppets have amazing battle scenes in that movie. Also,
unbelievable.
To whoever canceled Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, screw you. I hate you. You're the worst.
Can I say get fucked and die? I have to say get fucked and die at least one time on each live stream. And whoever did that with Dark Crystal, it's like, it won an Emmy, and the next day
was canceled.
They canceled any further thing of it. It's like, good thing it won an Emmy. It's canceled.
I just want to say, go out and vote, guys.
Right, go out and vote. Go out and fucking vote, because it really seems like it got canceled because it said a little too much. It spoke out a little too much.
You opened a can of worms on the internet. Everybody hates. Renee said, I hated The Last Jedi. I left the theater wanting to punch a baby seal.
At least Rose was cool.
Right. Sebastian said, you had great source material and you wrote garbage. BJ said, Gaiman wrote the English translation of Mononoke. Not surprising. It's beautiful.
Awesome.
Jeff said, yeah, those of us that love the Avatar The Last Airbender show died when M. Night Shyamalan and Ding Dong fucked Avatar The Last Airbender without lube. And Brian said episodes 1 through 3 are trash. I was extremely disappointed in 7 through 8 until 9 came out. Then I was not as disappointed.
And then 9 came out and she kissed Kylo Ren, and I almost fucking flipped our table.
You did. It was crazy.
I literally stood up and turned it to a 45-degree angle. I know. I'm going to break this thing too. It makes me so angry that a woman cannot just have a thing without being romantically involved in someone.
Brian just said he didn't watch Age of Resistance because he didn't want to taint Dark Crystal. There is no ever prequel in the world that has been good.
If I may, I grew up with Dark Crystal. Dark Crystal was sacred to me as a child. Dark Crystal was the first thing that terrified me, and yet the first thing that made me fall in love with puppetry and mysticism and existential journeys. I wrote a college paper on the existential journey of Jen. I absolutely love Dark Crystal. Dark Crystal is only the prologue for what Age of Resistance is. Dark Crystal, the movie, the original 1982 movie, is only one little written on a tablet of what Dark Crystal can be. And then you watch Age of Resistance, and it's like, this is the world. This is what it is. Watching the first movie is like getting a brochure to the trip that you're about to take. And then you actually go on the trip. You know, like, you're going to go to Disney World. Here are the sites that you can see, and you read them, and you're like, this is amazing. And then you actually go to Disney World, Age of Resistance is actually going there. Age of Resistance is actually delving into it, seeing what the world is like before the crystal cracked and the Skeksis, and well, I guess the crystal already has cracked, but before the mystics and the Skeksis are dying off, the dying race, using the dying ways. Before we get there, and before that grim and then the existential journey of Jen, before all of that, the world is massive and it is wide, and people had to stand up against a tyrannical government.
Yeah. It's, oh my God.
That was trying to suppress its people. And the best puppetry, minimal CGI.
It's so good.
Unbelievable. The best TV series I've ever seen in my life.
Ever.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. Like, I hate to
Unbelievable.
sound
I
like
cried in every episode.
Every episode.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I hate to sound like a basic white girl,
No,
but I
right
can't
here.
even
Basic white dude.
like with the show. It's everything. It was you laugh, you cry, you feel something, and then you like at the end of every episode you're like, well, I have to go burn a building down and start a revolution.
Absolutely. And then the credits end and you're like, man, I have all these revolutionary thoughts. And then the credits end and it says keep watching. And you're like, those were fucking puppets.
Those every time.
Oh,
we sat there together and I was like, I didn't know puppets could do that.
Those were like, the puppets.
The puppets did better acting than everybody in Hollywood does. Like, oh my God.
Yes.
It's so
and
good.
we reviewed New Mutants last week, and Anya Taylor-Joy is one of the voices.
Anya Taylor-Joy is one of the voices.
Queen of cool.
Yes, she's the best.
If you are a Dark Crystal fan of any kind and you have not seen Age of Resistance, drop what you're doing. And go, stop watching this live stream. It doesn't matter.
We don't matter. Mm-mm. Age of Resistance matters.
Age of Resistance matters. It's also not a full hour, which I really enjoyed. It's like 40-minute episodes, 35-minute episodes. It's like Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And The Mandalorian was good, but if it's like, oh, how does The Mandalorian rate against Age of Resistance? The Mandalorian is a 5 and Age of Resistance is a 10.
I was considered the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Mandalorian, I loved. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was really cool. It is not Age of Resistance.
I thought The Mandalorian could use some conversations between women, but sure, whatever. I think The Mandalorian...
That was a big part of The Mandalorian.
Right, but the freaking Age of Resistance is like, hey, by the way, women are going to change the world one way or the other. Right. Which side are they on?
And yet, it's not about that.
It's not about that at all. It's about everything.
It's about everything. It's about everything that's going on. There are strong women. There are strong men. There is not a lot of CGI.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things. It's just a good story, and it's well done.
Brian said, puppet-based movies and shows are very close to my heart. I grew up watching E.T. He wore out 3 VHS tapes as a child. Never-ending Story, Fraggle Rock. We watch Fraggle Rock.
Oh my God, Fraggle Rock is my show. I have a T-shirt with a doozer on it that I had special made just for me because I love Cotterpin, and she's my shit. Like, seriously, Brian, if you are a puppet fan, you need to watch Age of Resistance.
Yes.
I cannot stress enough. Oh my God, also Wembley is my jam too.
Watch it with Ben. He said you took Ben to see Never-ending Story. Watch it with Ben.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely.
Just do it. Watch it like on your own and with Ben because you need to see it both ways.
Another great existential story.
Absolutely.
This is my shit.
Atreyu and the horse.
This is totally my shit. Also, if you guys are Dark Crystal fans and you did see Age of Resistance, we have an amazing amount of the comics and the Virgin variants, which I haven't read because I've been waiting for season 2 to happen, and of course, so it wins an Emmy and then they cancel it. But
again,
I'm gonna blame a fascist regime.
Right, go vote.
Right, go vote.
We can't say anything else because we're non-profit.
I'm gonna blame that, but at the same time, I think I need to read the comics now.
Yeah. Sai said she would like to read your paper if you have access to it.
Oh man, I should totally look that up.
Yeah, she actually said, Matt, I need that paper.
Cool. So that was an allegory of cinema.
Yeah.
It was a good class.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh man, I didn't have an allegory of cinema class.
Allegory of cinema.
Oh man.
Yeah, and the final paper was on existentialism in film.
You guys don't know, Matt has a degree in film criticism, which is why we have a film review section of the show usually.
Which we're not doing tonight, so Age of Resistance is kind of it.
Right, that's it now.
We have a thrown-in one that we're going to talk about, but it's 10:50, so we need to...
Right, we gotta go.
TikTok.
TikTok. Stealth 6 came out. If you guys don't know, I've talked about this all the time. This is about a man who takes on being a superhero for the city of Detroit because Detroit is always not protected in the way it should be.
Good job, Brian.
So, Yeah. By the way, for those of you watching, if you bring in your I voted sticker, you will get 10% off of your purchase. Just so you know, tell your friends. We will absolutely 100% give you a discount if you bring in your I voted sticker showing that you voted.
You can't bring it in every day, okay, guys?
Right, one
you gotta
time.
have some limits. One time.
Bring in your ticket, you get the thing. There's this thing going on. You guys know about it. It's called Metal. This is the foil variant that I just touched with my fingers. I'm so sorry. We also
right. Even Cam pre-ordered his David Finch variant. He traded in for the foil.
I love that foil.
This
that
is
is my
great
favorite
foil.
of the foils that they've ever done.
Absolutely, with another nod to Watchmen.
Yes, we're doing it. Well, and that's because we had the Dr. Manhattan Who Laughs in Metal.
Number 2.
And then we've got all these other covers of Metal going on.
Cool, John Stewart.
And then
Superboy Prime.
Superboy Prime, which by the way, he's probably not watching, but did you pull this for Nathan because he needs it? He is a huge Superboy Prime fan, so you need to get him that cover. I read that on the internet today and was like, oh crap.
Cool, Dark Side.
Yes.
That's the David Finch Dark Side cover.
Right. Cameron, come on, you should have gotten both. Yes, you can bring in a photo of your mail-in ballot. If you mail-in ballot, if you want to bring in, you don't even have to bring it. You can just tell us that you have a mail-in ballot. Don't bring it before you vote. I don't even know who you voted for. I just need to know that you voted. And then Flash, we are no longer Josh Williamson. It is all new.
Yes, all new Flash. Starting over.
We'll see where this
Hopefully
goes.
it's good. You guys who are reading it, I know there's a lot of you watching who do pick up Flash weekly and have been reading it since Rebirth #1. Let us know how the transition goes.
Yeah.
I have not kept up, and I know it's amazing. People have asked, like, hey, what's a great Flash run for me to read? I'm like,
this one.
It's this one.
And the buttons.
Right.
Captain Marvel is still going, still doing great. Kelly Thompson doesn't get enough credit for all of the amazing work she's doing for Marvel. So if you want to support somebody who's doing an amazing job that doesn't get talked about enough, Kelly Thompson.
Yeah.
Also, I just love this cover because it's very Brie Larson-esque. Also, somebody who doesn't get enough credit for what she's doing for the Marvel Universe. Buffy Willow is out. For those of you who are Buffyverse fans, Whedonverse fans, whatever you want to call it, this is actually the book that everybody who is reading Whedonverse titles is saying
is the one.
Yeah. So pick it up, and Jen Bartel is doing these covers, and Mariko Tamaki is writing it.
Wow, Mariko Tamaki's writing it. Also, I really like how they did this. This is issue 4, and there's the Ouija board
on the back of all of them.
Right, on each issue, on the number. That's so awesome.
Bam, that's cool. If you don't have your sticker, totally, when you come in on Friday, I know you said you were going to come on Friday. We can still get you taken care of.
Yeah.
The Doomed and the Damned we talked about last year, or the Ghost issues of that.
There was Ghost, there was Villains.
But now we have the Doomed and the Damned. This is the DC Halloween kind of special for this year.
Right. They did a Swamp Thing Halloween special that came out 2 weeks ago, and we had sold out by the time the live stream happened.
Yes. So because Swamp Thing is amazing. Mm-hmm. There is a Swamp Thing story in this book.
What?
It's are you ready for this? It's Swamp Thing and Superman. I know.
Which they did in that annual during the Tomasi run, and it was not good.
It's kind of how I feel about this one. It's not super. It's Swamp Thing and Superman versus Clayface. So there's a really great conversation at the end because Swamp Thing kind of is like, I will destroy you because you're treating the Earth and
constant Swamp Thing.
Because Clayface is basically like is kind of giving people like fake greenery and things like that, and is like making them sick, but it's so that he can control them. And Swamp Thing is like, how dare you use the green like this? I will kill you. And he goes it's full Swamp Thing. Like the Swamp Thing moments are great. But then Superman comes in and is like, bro, you can't, that's not you. Don't do this. You're a better person than this. And Swamp Thing's like, am I?
The Swamp Thing's like, I am the Punisher of the DC universe, except I kill people with plants.
Right, and Swamp Thing's like, am I better than this?
Right.
Because he's destroying the Earth. Like,
right.
I don't know that that's who I am. And Superman's like, well, that's who I am.
I need to crush him with the tree.
Right. And Superman's like, but that's who I am. And we're working together. And, like, we can't change the world if we just kill all of the world. And Swamp Thing's like, the green doesn't need people. And and so it's kind of great because you really do get like their whole thing, but it's a story. It's all done almost entirely through narration of a girl who is being manipulated by Clayface's thing. So right,
I love it.
BJ says after Alan Tudyk, I can't take Clayface seriously anymore.
It's true.
But
after the Swamp Thing show, though, also on DC Universe, I can totally take Swamp Thing seriously.
Best thing DC Universe did, and
the best thing DC Universe did.
Super sad. Way to go, North Carolina.
Right. Whoever screwed them out of the money.
West Virginia. Whoever screwed them out of the money of production of this show. I'm super upset about it because this was, and the cliffhanger. Season 2 is all I need in life of season 2 of Swamp Thing, and I will never, ever, 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 ever get it. And I'm super upset about it because the ending of
There's
season 1.
There's a post-credit scene at the end of season 1.
Well, just in general, the idea of like what season 1 was building to, I needed it. It's not a super spoiler, really, because Jason Woodrue comes in like episode 2 or 3, and
if you've read Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, you know that the Floronic Man is Jason Woodrue, and so something's going to happen.
Something's going to happen with that, and where it goes and how it builds towards that. I needed it. I'm upset about it.
They essentially set up Alan Moore's run at the end of season 1.
Yeah. Brian says it was North Carolina. Yeah, screw you, North Carolina. I'm mad at you for what you did.
Really quick version, if you don't know the story, North Carolina promised them $4 million. When they gave them the check, it was $400,000.
They had already made the show.
They'd already made the show
$4 million
with a $4 million budget.
And so the show was made with $4 million budget, but they only got $400,000 to make it, and it was on a streaming platform service that nobody really
signed up
knew about.
Right, nobody really knew about it
at the time. So
and everybody who comes in and says, "Hey, have you seen Titans? Have you seen Doom Patrol?" The first thing I say back is, "Did you watch Swamp Thing?" They say no, and I'm like, "Well,
I got nothing to say to you until you go watch it."
Yeah, I got nothing to say.
Brian says maybe with Swamp Thing on CW they'll pick it up, but then again it'll get CW-ified. So
yeah,
it's too horror show for CW. I love
totally.
I'm a YA person. I love the CW. I love everything they did. I don't think Swamp Thing is for the CW. That's all I'm gonna say. Yes, Ram says, do you remember the Swamp Thing show that aired in the 90s?
Swamp Thing. You are amazing.
Ram also said he remembers Super Samurai
Cyber Squad, right? I saw that.
Yeah,
it's great.
So I had to bring that up because I know Ram has the show knowledge.
Ram's got the Power Rangers too.
Right. If you need to know what show was amazing in the 90s, Ram's gotcha. He's got it.
This.
He has it, and I love it. Thank you, Ram, for always being there to provide us with the knowledge that we forget of the best shows. And lastly, thing that came out, if you're reading it, you're reading it. There's this little book called Redneck.
This is kind of like Pics this week.
This is definitely Pics of every week, but it's so far into it, I don't know how much we can spoil.
Right.
Redneck, 28.
We're on 28. It's a good time, I guess, to do it in stock.
Yeah, I just don't want to spoil anything, especially because you know everything. So, see, it's so hard because
Redneck's about vampires in Texas and takes place at a bar that's local to Austin.
Right. Go eat at Posse East. Bars are open, restaurants are open, Posse East is open. Support local businesses. They're amazing.
If you're reading Redneck, everybody who's in Redneck works at Posse East.
You know, since COVID happened, I haven't seen JV, and I need to talk to JV. I'm feeling
JV's there 9 to 5.
I know. We're never there 9 to 5.
We're never there 9 to 5.
And I miss some JV.
Right. Or Johann Vladimir.
Whatever
you want to refer to him as. But yeah.
I wonder if we could call him that and he would know what we were talking about.
No.
Because he always has a surface level knowledge of what's going on in Redneck.
He hears about it.
I will tell you, Phil spoiled his role in Redneck for me when I first met him.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. He goes, "Well, I know," and told me what happened with Phil. And I was like, I didn't know that.
Right,
that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
And so I was so mad at Phil. Shout out to Greg and John for never ruining anything, or you, because I know you know as well. And I go like this when Donnie talks, la 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 la.
Right.
You don't get away with that as much as I do. Donnie's like, shut up, I'm going to tell you anyway.
John, which he's the nicest person in the entire world, and he's very quiet, so they call him Evil at the bar. He is evil in Redneck, if you guys are reading it. And his last name in Redneck is Villalobos,
Yeah.
which Donnie made up. And so John actually registered like Evil Villalobos at gmail.com.
Did he really?
Something like that. One of those. So, hate to shout out your email address, but
yeah.
If you do email that, whatever his name is,
it's John.
Tell him you love him because he's
He's
nice.
The best.
He is so nice.
He does actually talk in real life. I'm going to spoil that because he won't.
Right.
He is nice.
He even said he doesn't want to go to San Diego Comic-Con because he would have to bring a pad of paper
and a whiteboard.
And a whiteboard to write everything.
He takes a whiteboard whenever he goes to a dry signing because he needs to talk. The restaurant name, Bam, is Posse East. It's 2900 Duval.
Posse East.
2900 Duval. It has been a part of Austin
since like 1968, 69. It's like an old gas station.
It celebrated its 40-year anniversary last year. So
right.
69.
So, yep. There you go.
Or 79.
79.
Yeah. It became Posse East. It was a gas station before that. It became Posse East Restaurant 40 years ago. But it's amazing. It's Americana food. They sell hamburgers that are made out of Wagyu beef, which are amazing. They sell
super good.
The best taco salad I've ever had in my life.
But you can get chili cheese tots.
You can get the best sweet potato fries. Oh my god.
They do a really strange nachos that's like one big tostada.
It's a chalupa.
With melted cheese on it and then cut into fourths with one jalapeno on each one, but it's delicious.
It's so good. They have the best fish tacos.
Right. They have homemade chips.
Yes.
Their homemade chips are amazing.
If you've ever seen our live stream, you know that is what I look for.
Right. Isn't this the live stream?
I don't know. Probably not. Okay. If you guys don't know, because if you're new to this, to Bat City, I have an obsession with Posse East homemade chips. Posse chips. They are the greatest thing ever. You can get them to go. It's wonderful.
It's starting to fade though because she learned about the sweet potato fries.
It's true.
And the sweet potato fries have sea salt on them. It's actually a nice sea salt. Anyway, you got to go over there, get a glass of Shiner. They've got the best Shiner in town. Outside of Shiner, Texas.
Outside of Shiner, Texas is the best Shiner you'll find on draft. It's great.
That's right. We got one more here.
When are we doing a live stream at Posse? We need to do that.
When we did do book clubs in person, we did a Redneck #1 Image First $1 book club at Posse East, and everybody ordered burgers because they work at a burger.
Right, it's a burger restaurant.
Barbecue place in the comic. We did that there, but that would be fun to do.
A live stream from there. We'll talk to John about that.
We'd have to bring a lot of comics.
Right. We'll work it out with John. We'll talk to them. We'll see.
Not a bad idea. Avengers came out this week, and it's got a Black Panther cover from Alex Ross.
And Captain America came out this week, and it has a Falcon cover.
Yeah.
So also Alex Ross Timeless. If you guys haven't been in to see our Alex Ross Timeless wall, it's amazing. I love it. Matt's recreating the mural that Alex Ross did.
Not recreating it.
No, it's not.
I'm just putting the Alex Ross covers up there. They're awesome.
It's kind of recreating the mural.
People have been enjoying them. If you're collecting the Alex Ross covers, you're collecting them.
Yeah.
There's 8 more coming out.
All of the ones I'm waiting for are still to come.
Black Bolt, Medusa, Cyclops, Scarlet Witch, Nightcrawler, Daredevil.
I can't remember.
Spider-Woman.
Something else.
And something else that's also amazing.
I don't know. I just want to. I am super protective of my comics. I never want anything to happen, so I might have to buy 2 of the Alex Ross Black Bolt because I'm going to need to hug it when it comes in. There are not a lot of books that just have Black Bolt fully on the cover, and I might need to hug it.
That's how I feel about Spider-Woman.
Right.
Spider-Woman has 5 covers coming out for this next issue. This is like the Greg Land variant, then there's a cover A, and then there's the Timeless, and then there's 2 other ones, I think.
I think we have all of them coming in.
Yeah, we have all of them.
Probably.
I think it's this week.
Yes. Brian says if we need a tablet to do a live stream at Posse East, he will bring us one.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks, Brian.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't know if this networks to it.
We'll see. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. Trades.
I'm
got
gonna
a
go
couple of trades.
quickly as much as possible through these. Garbage Pail Kids had a book that came out recently. This is not a comic. It does have some illustrations in it, but if you guys are like us and you're from the 80s and 90s, you will love the fact that Garbage Pail Kids has a novel out. It is actually an R.L. Stine novel. So,
Right, written by R.L. Stine, and it comes with Garbage Pail Kids cards in the back.
Stickers, because Garbage Pails were always sticker.
Right. The cards were stickers.
Yeah, the cards were stickers. So you actually get this. I'm going to save this for last because I'm obsessed with it. Ghostbusters. It's Halloween. I felt it was necessary to those out. This is an IDW trade of Ghostbusters issues.
This is the mini omnibus,
This is
right?
the mini omnibus. Very excited about it. If you're looking for something Halloween-esque and you want to get into it, this is a great way to get into some Ghostbusters from IDW.
I love these because they're smaller than a regular comic, you know, which means that you can fit it in your backpack really easy. And this thing is heavy.
Heavy.
It's super heavy for a paperback, but it's super cool if you like Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I'm going to throw this out there because we haven't talked about it in a while. This is Raven, Daughter of Darkness. It's written by Marv Wolfman. It's a question. I'm gonna spoil it. It's not. No, it's not. That part's not a question. But it's not a question. I'm just not gonna talk about. There is a question coming up later that has to do with her, so I guess I'll leave it alone.
Great.
But something that DC has not talked about. October this year is actually 40 years for Raven, and nobody is doing anything about it. So I'm personally going to celebrate the fact that this is the 40th anniversary of the first appearance of Raven. So this is actually a Marv Wolfman back on Raven series, Raven, Daughter of Darkness, and this is issue. This is the whole thing. It's like 1 through 6 or whatever it was.
If you guys don't know, Marv Wolfman did the Teen Titans run that made them amazing.
Yeah.
So having him back on Raven is very cool.
Yeah, and then we also, speaking of, have Teen Titans Earth 1, which we always talk about the Earth 1 series, but we've never talked about the fact that we have the Earth 1 Teen Titans, and this is Jeff Lemire.
Right. Super cool. All the Earth 1 series have really great writers. They're always really cool alternative things, and you don't need to know the continuity to get into them.
I'm going to throw some half-off trades in before I go to the last full-price trade, because the last full-price trade is a graphic novel that's my favorite. This is Becky Cloonan's By Chance of Providence. First of all, Becky Cloonan, first woman to draw Batman for the series. Also Austinite, also amazing, if you guys didn't know. This is just Becky doing her own art and storytelling, and it is amazing. It's a bunch of mini stories, and they're all kind of like night-esque. Like there is actually like the story of a squire in there. There's all kinds of like magic-y feels to it. If you like Becky Cloonan's art, you love this. Because Becky Cloonan's art is amazing. Shang-Chi was the one we missed. Brian just commented, by the way. Yes. Thank you for that. But Becky Cloonan crushing it with art and story on. It's a mini trade because the back half is actually just some more art prints and stuff by Becky Cloonan. So if you know Becky Cloonan's art, you need this. It's half off. It's amazing. You want it.
Y'all live in Austin. If you know Becky, you need this.
Right. If you like Batman and you don't like Becky Cloonan, you're wrong, because she is the first woman who ever drew Batman consecutively. This is Dead World Restoration. This is the sequel to a Dead World series. This is, if you guys are zombie fans, Sai, I'm looking at you. This is a zombie story that continues. This is a great. You don't have to have read wouldn't have to have read the first one to understand what's going on in this, because they do a great recap at the beginning, and I like that it's that sepia tone, like just deep art.
It's kind of the scary stories to tell in the dark kind of art, like kind of sketchy, kind of painty.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Sai, this is all you, man. This is your.
She
says dibs. I got you. I pulled this knowing that I was not going to get past you, Sai, on this.
Yeah.
Like. This is
look at them chucking the heads off and stuff.
So good. Yeah.
That's sweet.
Oh man, the art on this is so good. I was looking at it today and I was like, I should just put this in Sai's box and not even bother talking about it on the live stream, because it's such a good, like, the art is so cool. The story, like, it's great.
All right, that's neat. Dead World Restoration for everybody else who wasn't lucky enough to grab it.
And then I'm going to talk about this, and this is something that I was actually working in a comic store when this came out, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. And now that I've read it, since then, I love it. This is Dark Fang by Miles Gunter. So this is a story of a woman who is a vampire. She's actually turned by Dracula. She worked as the slave for Dracula and the wives. If you guys know the Dracula story, you know Dracula had three wives. She worked as their slave, and then she goes and gets into the. She kills them all. She goes into the modern world, and what she does before she ends up in the modern world, she actually lives under the sea, and she has a best friend who's a shark, and she wears a dress made out of a jellyfish so that it glows in the dark, and it's wonderful and amazing. And then an oil spill happens in the modern world. And so this is basically if Poison Ivy was a vampire, because this woman becomes an eco terrorist essentially. um, I hate to use that word because I'm like, no, they're right. They're not. But, you know, terrorist doesn't mean you're wrong. Um, so she becomes an eco-terrorist because her ocean and her shark friends and all of her family in undersea are actually turned, like, ruined by this oil spill. And so she comes to the modern world and she becomes a cam girl, essentially, trying to raise money, and she uses the money to fund herself so that she can be an eco-terrorist and start destroying all of the oil industry for because they're polluting mankind and the ocean and it the whole pollution of mankind and the toxicity of what humans are doing to the world is ruining her life as a vampire, but also the world itself that she as an immortal being has to live on forever.
Jeff says extreme eco-activist.
Extreme eco-activist. I like that better. But eco-warrior, thank you, Sai. They always call Ivy an eco-terrorist, and I'm like, I don't know that I consider Ivy a terrorist. However, the basic definition of terrorist, she is actually. I mean, technically under that the definition of terrorist Jesus falls under. So everybody can. That definition is very loose. But anyway, I love this story. It's an image story. This is volume 1, so it's 1 through 5. It's a complete story. There is a sequel that comes from it, but it's great if you like vampires and you want your vampires to do something good for the world.
I'm spoiling it.
She actually takes out a lot of the people who are in charge of the oil industry in America. This is also a half off trade. I love it. Pick it up. It's great. Um, Non half off. This book is amazing. I expect Jeff, you might steal this before I finish my sentence. This is Jason Reynolds, the guy who wrote Miles Morales, which we talk about all the time. This is his book Long Way Down turned into a graphic novel. The story of Long Way Down, if you read Spoon River Anthology, you might kind of have an idea of how this works. It's a visit from people who have died in the past, but this is a story of a little boy who lives in the Bronx, and in that community, of course, we have the you shoot mine, I shoot yours mentality. And so his brother is gunned down at the very beginning of the story by a rival group of people. And he goes home and he's like, "That it's my responsibility to avenge my brother. I'm going to kill the people who killed my brother. I think this is who it was." He goes and he finds a gun at home and he gets back in the elevator to ride down to go out and kill the people. And while he's in the elevator, each floor it stops and another person from his life that was a part of the saga of the um, cycle of you kill mine, I kill yours kind of mentality gets on the elevator and tells him their story. And it's Jason Reynolds' commentary on as long as we continue in the I'm gonna kill you because you killed one of mine, we're gonna always be killing each other until everybody's dead. It's such a good it's an amazing book. The book itself was actually told in verse and then they turned it into a graphic novel. It's a beautiful graphic novel. It is not half off. It is brand new. It just came out last week. Um, it is phenomenal. It is. I said that this book and Miles Morales came out at the same time. I said Miles Morales was the most important book that came out that year because it had the same kind of conversation, but it did it through a Spider-Man book. But I read this book and I was on the phone with you when this book came out, and then you hung up the phone, and I read the book, and then you called me back, and I was in tears when you called me back, and you asked me what happened, and I was like, I read this book while you were delayed and talking to me, and it is the best book. Um, it is amazing. It's extraordinary. We see a lot of this in stories all the time of the people who live in this world where it's like, I have to get back at the people who got mine. And Jason Reynolds, growing up in that environment, being a man of color who grew up in that kind of community in Washington, D.C., he knows, he lived that experience. And Jason said, you know, he wrote a lot of books and they didn't go anywhere. And somebody came to him and said, why don't you start writing the things you actually know? Instead of the things you think people want to read, why don't you tell the stories about the people that you lived with? And so Jason started telling stories, and this is one of them. And there's no way around how good this book is, and they just adapted it to a graphic novel. It's extraordinary. If you guys haven't read it, this is a great way to do it. Long Way Down, Jason Reynolds, best YA writer. I love him. Anyway.
Let's do this.
Okay, let's do that. Here you go.
Giveaway time. We are going to give away this issue of Redneck 25. This is the silent issue of Redneck. It also sold out everywhere the week that it came out. We still have copies. We actually got this from Donnie's personal collection.
This is Donnie Cates' personal collection of Redneck that you can take home with you.
Absolutely. He was like, oh, really? You guys sold out of that? I got a ton of copies of that issue. And we were like, cool, because it sold out everywhere. He's like, really?
He didn't even know.
And I'm not following it. He's like, I think Redneck's a passion project for him.
It is 100%.
Which I love about that. And especially us being here in Austin, and we just talked about Pass East and all the people who work there who are actually in the book. It's like Donnie writing about his friends and telling a fun story about them, about vampires, and about Texas. And
it's his love letter in Texas for sure.
Exactly. And everything else and his Marvel career aside, this is him being an Austinite and him loving Austin. And so it's fun to see these. And this issue's great because there are no words.
There was a great tweet the other night, and I know BJ's on here, so he'll probably remember this from the other night, but there was a great tweet where somebody said, this issue is proof that Donnie Cates knows when to talk and when to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
And Donnie said, I've never heard anybody say that Donnie Cates knows when to shut up.
It's in the back of the new issue of Redneck.
He talked about that too.
He talked about it there too.
And it's such a great, it's so true. This issue is amazing, and it can be yours if, I guess we'll go with this question, with what is Raven, who is celebrating her 40th anniversary, what is her first appearance? Easy to find out, because 40 years ago, what book did Raven appear in?
Right, tell us the first appearance of Raven,
Raven.
Get this Redneck 25, which is super cool.
Super not where I thought Redneck was going. When I read that issue, I was like, oh man, this is why I sit there with my fingers in my ears when Donnie talks, because I'm so glad I did not know this is where this was going.
Teen Titans #1?
It is not Teen Titans #1, Guillermo. She appeared before that.
I love this. We need to get a sign of this over the door.
There's actually, she is credited as appearing in another book. Yes, Brian, DC Comics Presents #26 is actually credited as the first appearance of Raven.
40 years ago.
40 years ago. I don't know why they're not doing that. I actually also thought it was Teen Titans #1. Gasly said the first appearance was in the TV show That's So Raven. She's seen in the background face palming. As a fan of That's So Raven, I appreciate that in so many levels.
Totally that was
so great. Raven Simone pre The View was great. Yeah. All right, what do you got for me?
Some keys really quick. I don't really have big key issues this week, but just some stuff that came in that I'd like to talk about. That's kind of cool. I guess it's more on the collectible issue side. This one isn't even collectible because it's actually rat-shoed. But I think this is such an awesome cover of Batman. I was talking about this with a couple of guys at the shop this week.
This is rat-shoed?
Yeah, it's got a little rat shoe.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Right? Rat shoes are always fun to see because they like whittle through the paper in different ways. But at the same time, this is such a cool cover. Like, look at the little gradient lines of where the explosion is. And it says, I've done as you commanded. Wayne Manor and everyone in it is destroyed. Call me master. And Batman's crying.
Oh my god, I've never seen Batman cry on the cover of a comic book.
Well, there it is. What a crazy cover. It's so neat. This is it's Batman 215.
Wow, low number.
Low number 15.
Right, 15 cent Batman.
Old enough to be in somebody's attic and for some rats to chew it.
Right, for rats to chew on.
Right. And speaking of rats, here's the first appearance of Madame Web in Spider-Man.
What does that have to do with rats?
Rats, spiders, goblins, ghouls, ghosts, Halloween time, right? Right? Absolutely. This is a Madame Web. I pressed this. It's really nice. It's got like 3 little spine ticks in it, but it is super nice. And Madame Web is heating up because she's coming into Spider-Man.
If you guys didn't know, Batman Comics does cleaning and pressing. Matt is amazing.
Thanks.
I literally can't. I don't even understand what he does, and I watch him do it. It's so amazing to see him. He'll bring out he'll get a book from a customer, and he'll say like, "Look at this book," and I'm like, "Great, that looks like a book." And then he brings it to me later, and I'm like, "Whoa, is that the same book?" Because it looks so different. So Matt is working magic with your books. If you guys need somebody to clean and press.
I don't know what I'm doing with them either. I just take them and then I press them, and then what I actually do is I put them in the press, and then I throw away your book, and then I buy you a new higher condition book.
That's not true at all. He actually does it himself. Guillermo is testifying as somebody who's bought your cleaning and pressing services that you are doing.
Dude, you're awesome. Job. Thanks so much, Guillermo.
Also, Sebastian is claiming that Madame Web, so that's gone.
Cool. Right on. Yeah, it is fresh pressed. It looks really nice. There's no little things on it, just 3 little spine ticks. Super nice. This is the first appearance of iVampire.
Wow.
Right?
I forgot we had that.
Right. You wrote the.
I wrote that. That's
sticker.
My handwriting.
Right.
Came off that wall right there.
Super neat. Again, I'm excited about Halloween. I'm feeling the Halloween. I'm feeling horror comics right now, and anything in that. I'm very excited for Werewolf by Night to come out next week. Yeah. So next Sunday, we're definitely going to have a little Werewolf by Night discussion, and which will relate into Moon Knight or Children.
Next Sunday, we'll also only have horror movie trivia. I have your document.
Is it technically the week before Halloween because Halloween's a Saturday?
Yes.
Right.
So it will have the trivia questions that you once wrote.
We will have a Dia de los Muertos live stream.
100%.
Right.
As somebody who was raised by the De Los Santos family, I will 100% have a Dia de los Muertos.
Right. Absolutely. And then we will really talk about Asilios de Muerto.
Can we review Coco? No, you can't watch Coco. It's too sad. Never mind. I take it back.
I cry during movies.
You can't watch Coco.
I'm a crier.
You can't watch Coco. It's too sad.
I'm a crier. I cried during Uptown Girls.
I can't. Oh
Not afraid to admit it. The movie is freaking beautiful.
So good. That's Freddie Murphy's best movie. I don't care.
It was. Absolutely. What else was she in?
Right. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Best movie.
Movie is great.
But yeah.
My high school girlfriend made fun of me, and you know what? Fuck you.
Is that Allie?
Shit was sad.
What the hell, Allie?
Shit was sad.
What the hell? You were at her wedding.
Yeah, she came to our wedding. House of Mystery, first appearance by a vampire.
Oh, Renee wants to know if that was the Andrew Bennett iVampire.
I don't know. Are there multiple iVampires? It's the first one.
Guillermo says he cried at Coco. See, I don't know. You might not be able to handle Coco. It's tough.
I know. I'm gonna cry.
You're gonna cry.
I cried during Up.
You're gonna cry. Oh, yeah. Who didn't? If you didn't cry during Up, do you have tear ducts?
Right. Are you alive? Are you a human? Right.
I cry when I see memes of Up. I don't even I can't even look at. I can't even look at my friend Ashley's husband Eric because he looks like he is gonna grow up to be the old man from Up.
My dad
already.
looked like the old
Your
man.
dad look. I can't. That's true. Your dad was literally the
exactly,
old man.
and then his wife died.
Right, and
right.
Your dad was the old man. Right. Oh yes, exactly. Mindel says his Obella has Alzheimer's. That movie was close to home. Same. Yeah, you're not gonna. You
don't
can't
make us.
it.
I'm trying to do keys here, you guys. We've got a Captain Marvel 29, and this baby's in really good condition. Jim Starlin is doing a signing at CGC, and if you guys want a cool book to send into CGC, this is a great choice. Al Milgram is also doing that same signing, and Jim and Al will both sign your book and have it CGC'd inside for $100.
Nice, that's not bad.
Which isn't bad at all. I've actually thought about sending this issue in just for that. Because it's in such great shape. This is definitely going to be 859, if not 9294. So excited about that.
Brian, if you need a birthday message from Captain Marvel, Supergirl, or Wonder Woman for Ben's birthday, let me know. I will gladly make sure one of them can do that for him before his birthday next week. So let me know.
Right, that's what we do here.
Yeah.
That's what we do here. Again, I got this cool Dark Phoenix T-shirt, and I'm super excited about it. So I brought a bunch of Dark Phoenix books.
Let's see what you got.
Right, this is X-Men 125, that Return of Dark Phoenix, which has been the cover that's been homaged thousands and thousands of times. This is super sweet. I was excited when we got this in. I'm like, oh man, I love this issue. What if Phoenix had not died?
Right.
This has been reprinted several times. This is the first print of this book, and it's a super cool one. Monica Rambeau, coming to you soon.
Yeah, WandaVision.
In WandaVision.
What? I'm so excited. I cannot be more excited for that show if I tried.
Right. This is the first appearance of Monica Rambeau. Dude, thanks, Casplay. First appearance of Monica Rambeau. Super neat. This book is going to blow up.
Once WandaVision hits.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah. WandaVision.
Very
I'm going to keep
excited about
singing it until it happens.
WandaVision!
It looks so much like the Vision's Tom King series, but it actually has it's actually like Wanda and Vision's story from their comics.
And classic costumes.
And Agatha's on it. Yes, we have a glimpse of Scarlet Witch in her classic costume.
And Vision in his classic colors. I don't know why MCU had to change colors.
Right.
They did.
You've lost your Monica Rambeau has now gone to Nigel.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool. Nice one.
Good choice.
And the last key I have of the evening is a Halloween Night Dance variant, which I think we showed on a live stream like 2 weeks ago. But it's Halloween time, and we're excited about it. And I'm going to show this next week, too, because it's super sick. Halloween, the actual movie, John Carpenter's Halloween, the comics are super collectible.
Yeah.
Hard to find.
Yeah.
There aren't issues of Halloween that are under $20 these days. You can't get them. It's not going to happen. Especially this clown cover. My face finder is finding Michael Myers' face. I'm going to touch it.
Right, and Sai's going to cry because you zoomed in on that clown. I'm sorry, Sai. Don't look. Sai, close your eyes. We'll tell you when it's
Cool.
I went on a ghost tour last night, and I was trying to take a picture of an empty building, and it kept face finding on an empty window in a building, and no matter how I turned my phone, it wanted to face find in the same spot. So I took a picture. Nothing happened in the picture, but I'm just really curious as to what was there. Brian said that Captain Marvel 29 is the 6th appearance of Thanos in comics, and it's when Captain Marvel gains his cosmic awareness. If you guys have any questions about Thanos, Brian is your guy. Hit him up. He knows everything about Thanos possible. I love that you've physically documented all of Thanos.
He knows the guy who's collecting every single appearance of Thanos ever in comics.
Mm-hmm. So.
Right, there's got to be a guy out there.
Right.
Gotta be right. No, Brian knows the guy.
Brian knows the guy
who is collecting every appearance ever.
And Brian is right behind him.
And Brian's right behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You made Sai scream. You're zooming in on the clown. So.
Excellent. That's what it's all
Welcome
about.
Welcome to Halloween.
Tis the season. Giveaway.
Boom! You're giving away this?
I think so.
Okay then.
I think so. It's not really a key. This is a Trinity Crisis. This is a brand new death metal tie-in book, and it's nice.
All right then. I will go with a non-key kind of key question, but what is the secret identity of the first Batgirl, and what issue did she first appear in?
What is her name of secret?
What is the name of the first Batgirl, and what issue did she first appear in? That's the question. That is the question.
Batgirl, not Batwoman.
Brian said, "I am that guy." You are that guy.
It's important to be that guy. I don't care what guy you are. You always got to be that guy. It doesn't matter.
Somebody's got to be that guy, and it might as well
Somebody's
be you.
Somebody's got to be that guy, absolutely. And obviously, guy is like dude is a term that goes both ways. Doesn't matter who you are. What's up, guys?
Right.
It is a he/her term these days. It is all inclusive.
Brian says he knows the answer, but he's gonna pass, so somebody else can win. So if
Aw.
you are somebody else and you know the secret identity of the first Batgirl and what issue she first appeared in, you can win this prize. No, Renee, but close, sort of.
Plus, you need an issue in there.
And you need an issue in there. That's why I said sort of.
Mm-hmm.
But Brian asked earlier if yes, Brian, you are 100% correct. I love your comic historian knowledge. It's so solid. Brian asked earlier about our family emergency. Thank you so much, everybody who, which I didn't even bring it. I suck at life. I will go grab it. But we canceled book club this week, and I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for supporting that. I had to have an emergency root canal done very, very early in the morning on Tuesday. Found out Monday was in extreme pain, could not talk, nonetheless host a book club. And I still have to do more. They were not able to finish because modern medicine is a joke.
Right.
Or the modern healthcare system. The medicine itself is probably fine, but the healthcare system is a joke. So I will have more problems in the future, but I appreciate everybody being everybody who reached out. Lots of you reached out to make sure we were okay. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys letting us cancel book club. It was awful. It's not great still, but it was a thing that happened. Sai, you are half right.
Right, we're getting there.
We're getting there,
y'all.
So, what was the secret identity of the first Batgirl, and what is the issue she first appeared in? I'm gonna grab some books. A book.
Shannon's gonna grab the book club book. Obviously, we're not giving away a book club book this week because we gave away the one for next week, last week, because we got delayed a week. So we'll talk about that in just a minute.
Thank you, Casley. Casley says special wishes for Root Canal issue number 2. That is exactly how I feel. Yes, I was told they did part 2/3 of the work, and I have to go back, and it's awful, and I hate it. Sai, you are still correct, but there is a different Batgirl. I'm gonna say that. I will give you that. You got your issue and your date right.
Right. Batgirl Secret Identity, first appearance.
There was a Batgirl that came before that.
There was.
So, there was a Batgirl. Ooh, nice cup. Where'd you get that from?
Spirit?
Yeah, Spirit Halloween. Mm-hmm.
We got some costumes, y'all, which we might have to do for the Dia de los Muertos live stream. Wear costumes. That'd be fun.
That'll be all exciting.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Right. It's weird because you went super comic and I went super horror.
Mm-hmm.
But
usually it's the other way around.
It's the other way around usually. So this is exciting.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Which I'm very excited because my costume is I will tell you, my costume this year is from Trick or Treat, and we got to share that movie with a couple of subscribers that were in the store the other day. So if you guys haven't seen Halloween movies, classic Halloween movies, you will definitely see them if you come into the store this month because that's all that Matt will play.
I've been playing a lot of Halloween movies on the TVs. Also, if you guys haven't seen Trick or Treat,
watch it.
Watch it. It's definitely it's as up there as Dark Crystal is like necessary need to watch if you enjoy puppet movies or puppet things. You need to see Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance. You need to see Trick or Treat if you like any kind of horror or Halloween. If you enjoy the holiday.
Yes.
You know.
BJ wants to know if you're going to be sexy coronavirus. No. Brian said Ben wants to be Sam for Trick or Treat. That's what I'm going to be. So if Ben, wow, that's all kinds of words. If Ben wants a message from Sam for Halloween,
right.
I would gladly
adorable
send some Sam love.
It's like, why is this girl dressed as Sam?
Right, why is this girl dressed as Sam? Sam's not a girl.
Sam doesn't talk.
Sam doesn't talk at all. And yes, Renee, it is Betty Kane from Batman 139. This issue is going to Renee.
Bam.
What are we giving away?
Trinity Crisis.
Trinity Crisis.
Death Metal Trinity Crisis. Brand new book. Giving away some new stuff.
Yeah. So, Renee, I know you. I feel like you probably knew that, and you were holding out for all that time. So thanks for.
I feel like Renee has one.
Renee, do you have Batman 139? Because you probably do, and this is unrelated, but it is related to book club since we're about to go into that. A friend of mine on Facebook today posted a still from behind the scenes on the new Batman movie, and Matt and I don't watch trailers for movies we want to see, and we're huge long Halloween fans, so the Batman is off limits on trailers. But a friend of mine posted a picture of Zoe Kravitz on set as Catwoman, and the Win and Rome vibes were so strong, I think I might have died a little bit.
Giant ears.
Hey, she's not in the suit. It's the daytime clothes. And I mean, she's got the big hat and like a leathery, like classic, like mobster woman kind of dress. Oh my god, it's
Make
so
a
good.
Superman movie, DC.
Yes. Renee said
we need Superman right now.
Renee has that book. Renee has that book.
Of course he does.
Yes. And said to give the book to Sai. So Sai, we will definitely give you that book.
Shoot.
Thank you, Renee, for being kind and sharing.
Y'all are so nice.
I know. You guys are always so good. And
right. Thanks for monitoring yourselves in the comments.
Also, Renee, just feel free to post a picture of that book that you have.
Right. Absolutely. And DC, feel free to make a Superman movie for me.
Or a character that doesn't already have a million movies in general. I'm okay with that too.
It'd be great. A Flash movie with now Ezra Miller would be awesome too.
No, a Flash movie with Ezra Miller done well would be good.
Okay.
Because Ezra Miller's a good actor. If you ever seen The Perks of Being a Wildflower?
No.
Then you don't have an opinion on Ezra Miller.
Sorry.
So Ezra Miller is actually a really emotionally like charged great actor. You would actually love him if you saw Perks of Being a Wildflower.
Right. Just bad humor in a Flash role.
He's not a humor actor either. He's not a comedian.
Great.
No
wonder comedy didn't work for him.
No, Ezra Miller came out as like a drama actor and so good at that. Like emotional turmoil kind of people like played like these like even
the Flash.
Right, which is not the Flash, right.
The Flash. Right. That's what we should have is the Flash.
But he
emotional
got all these
turmoil.
Joss Whedon. He got all the Joss Whedon lines.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, not that Joss Whedon is not a good writer or whatever, sure, that's your thing, but he wanted to make the movie funny, he wanted to make it like Avengers, you got all of that, you didn't get the like darkness, which is why I think Ezra Miller was cast, because Scott Snyder was a part of it at the beginning.
Right.
Zack Snyder. Just totally go into comic mode right here. Zack Snyder was part of the beginning, so of course everything was like dark and broody.
Emotional turmoil.
And Ezra Miller is known for that. Like even his role in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Fight Him, that's all he does is he plays a character who's completely emotionally turmoil. He is literally a ball of emotional turmoil. And I don't agree, BJ. He's actually my least favorite part.
If he wasn't in the movie, I would have enjoyed Justice League.
And that's not Ezra Miller's fault. That's the writing's fault. I think that they didn't need to have a comedy character of the Flash in that movie. It didn't fit into the story.
What is a run of the Flash where he's all comedy all the time?
Right. I think that they didn't do, and that's the two directors coming together. That's what they did. I think that Ezra Miller is a great actor. I think he's not a comedian. Brian said the same thing. You need to be a comedic capable actor to do the Flash, is what he said. I don't think Ezra Miller is that. I think, again, if you want a comedic but also emotionally turmoil, all of these together kind of character, I think we still need Alan Tudyk to play Barry Allen. I will always forever 100% hold to until we have Alan Tudyk as the Flash. We're wasting time.
It's like tongue-in-cheek comedy.
Right. It wasn't, but that was the whole problem once that whole section of the movie starts.
What movie?
Justice League. Oh. Once we get to the part where that's all we're doing is we're making jokes.
Right.
It was not good. Overall, we hired Joss Whedon because we need to compete with Marvel movies instead of just making our own movies, and that's not DC. It's not their thing in their universe. They need to create a universe. They need to create a substantial universe that's cohesive in their movies, because that works in the movie world when you're putting out a bunch of movies at the same time.
But we have another Batman actor.
We have another Batman actor. We have another universe. Everything's different. Get your shit together, Warner Brothers.
Anyway, we're doing this DC book tomorrow night
at book club to
book
make
club.
up for the one we missed last time. This is Catwoman. It's Ed Brubaker and Darwin Cook. Darwin Cook is one of my favorite artists of all time. I love Darwin's art. I love what he does. I love Ed Brubaker. I am a huge Winter Soldier fan, and I love Ed Brubaker's run on that. I love what Ed Brubaker does with Catwoman in this story. So, yes, Sebastian, that's accurate. They were trying to do an Iron Man, Spider-Man kind of thing. It wasn't great. Don't waste your time, Sebastian. You have better, more important.
There's a director's cut coming out.
Oh, is there?
Of Justice League.
Oh, right. There's the Snyder cut.
The Snyder cut.
Right.
Watch that.
I'm very excited for the Snyder cut. I can't see it because I don't have HBO, because I have a Roku. But those of you who do, please let me know if you enjoy it.
Right, and it's coming out. It's like a mini series.
It's a
multiple
4-part
parts.
mini series.
Just give me a movie. I have no problem watching a 4-hour movie, like an adult. Like an adult watches movies, you know. And if you don't, go watch There Will Be Blood again.
Yeah, right.
Let it get under your skin. All 3 hours of it.
Brian says if you're not a part of book club, you should be. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian. Shut up.
It's going to be fun. I'm very excited to talk about this book. It's going to be a good one. It's one of my favorites. Fun. I have that Catwoman suit and costume. So, biased. But it's also really fantastic. Yes, Ram says, can't wait for tomorrow's $1 book club. If you guys don't know, our $1 book club is done on Zoom. We are not meeting in person right now. There is an event for it because I didn't actually change it, so it'll be the same link that was last time. It's still happening. I'm very excited. I've been waiting for this one forever. Thank you again, everybody, for letting me push it back, because I was very excited to do this one and I didn't want to miss out. So I'm happy we get to talk about it tomorrow night at 8:30 on Zoom.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great. If you don't know what book club is, we call it $1 book club. It does not cost $1 to join. It's because we do the $1 reprints, whether that's a True Believer, a DC Dollar comic, or an Image first title. We only pick from those allotted choices, so that you only have to pay $1, and if you don't like it, hey, it doesn't matter because you only spent $1 on it.
You paid $1. It was one issue. You didn't have to invest yourself in like the entire trade paperback or novel. You don't have to come every single week, and you're like, we're still reading this book. We've been reading this for weeks and weeks, and I hate it. It's awful. Or I'm not interested in it. Like, it's a good book, but I just don't really like the subject matter. That's what I really like about book club, is we get so many different things every single week that it's constantly something different. And if you didn't like one week, then the next week is
something else.
It's something for you. Right, exactly. Yeah. Who knows?
Hopefully.
And we get to read all these classic issues. And then when people do talk about it, and you're at the comic book shop and say, hey, have you read any Ed Brubaker? Do you like Darwin Cook's art? Oh, I read that Catwoman issue. You know, you know, and you can jump in on those conversations. It's awesome to expand all of our minds and our knowledge together. As an educational nonprofit, it's not only our responsibility to educate future generations of comic book readers, but to educate ourselves as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Thanks. Let's give you something.
This one?
Yeah, we can do that one.
Or this one. What's the big prize?
That one's, I guess, bigger.
This one's bigger?
Right. I guess we should have done this for key issues, but we can do it right now. This is a Green Lantern number. What is it? It's 81. It is 81. But not only do you get this nice little foil variant, you also get the regular cover as well.
Yes.
Or the foil is the regular.
And that's the variant.
And this is the variant. But you get both copies.
Yeah. And the question is as hard as it should be for something like that. So, legendary supervillain Dr. Doom did not appear in Fantastic Four comics until issue number 5. Which means we had 4 issues worth of bad guys that didn't include Dr. Doom. So, give me those bad guys that the Fantastic Four fought before Dr. Doom came into play.
Is there a number how many
1,
there are?
2, 3, 4, 5. Give me 5.
There were already 5.
There were 5.
I knew that one. Mm-hmm.
This one came with that one.
Oh.
So that's out. Right. There were 2 in one issue, but there are 5, technically 5 people that the Fantastic Four, or 5 entities, I guess I should say,
right,
because of that one.
One's kind of a hero.
Right. One's kind of not a bad guy, but was somebody that the Fantastic Four fought.
We're getting there.
We need all 5 for you to win both covers of these. So you're getting 2 issues. You need to give me 5 villains. I might even settle for 4 if I feel generous when the time comes. So, which speaking of, if you guys didn't know, there is a Doctor Doom series that's out right now. I know you were reading it.
It's pretty good.
Pre-COVID.
It's him as an anti-hero. And he tries to be an anti-hero, but he can't. And he messes up and ends up being evil because it's kind of in his nature.
Yeah.
It's fun, but it's not funny like Spider-Woman is.
Right.
But it has the same fun that the current Spider-Woman series has.
It's like classic comic fun.
Yeah, without the classic comic art or paneling.
Right. But just that fun, like a comic event, like when people think of comics, they think of that.
Yeah, right. Kind of fancy free.
Yeah. Ooh, is this all of them? 1, 2, 3, 4. Brian, you got 4 of them. There's one other one I'm looking for specifically. Renee said Mole Man and Trump times 4. It's definitely not Puppet Master Sebastian. That's great. Brian, you were... Peaches, I can't laugh or not react to this, but I am. No, not Galactus and Silver Surfer.
Galactus and Silver Surfer came in Fantastic Four 48.
And 49. Fantastic Four Space 48 and 49. Because it sounds like you're saying
Fantastic
448.
Four 48, right.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four number 48 is Cameo Galactus and Silver Surfer. And then 49 is Galactus.
Yeah. So, I feel like Brian is the closest so far. We've got mostly everything there. Brian had a typo, and Casplay said that they had to Google it to see who that was. I love it. Right. So we've got one more. Brian, if you can think of who you're missing, I will tell you it came with Namor.
Right.
I will give you that. Namor called out a specific.
Mm-hmm.
Was that issue 4 of Fantastic Four?
I think so.
Yeah. I feel really smart when I have the trivia questions because I have to look up all of the information. So if I don't remember or don't know something, I have to look it up. So then I feel like I'm like super. I know all of the things, but yeah, Brian, you're pretty much spot on. So if somebody knows the rest of it, you can beat Brian to it. We're just looking for who came with Namor, I guess, from Brian's answer.
I'm just shining the light across this foil cover.
No, I love that foil cover so much.
Right?
And
so awesome.
We have a signed copy, right?
We do, signed by Ron Mars.
For ourselves. Yeah. So if you can tell me who the Fantastic Four fought before Doctor Doom was ever even in the Fantastic Four, you can get this cover A and cover B of Green Lantern number 81. And is there something special about this issue other than the foil?
This is after Hal Jordan died.
Oh, nice. Brian, that is all yours, buddy. You got it. It's in 2 different answers, but I'm giving it to you. Yes, it was... I'm going to write this down really fast. It was Mole Man Namor who brought forth Giganto with him, the Skrull, and Miracle Man. So, yes, and there were 4 issues before Doctor Doom came into play, and technically 5 villains. But they fought Mole Man in issue 1, I believe, and then the Skrull, and then Miracle Man, and then Namor finds out that the Earth is being destroyed and is pissed off about it, and decides he's going to take his wrath on all of humankind, goes back to the sea, calls forth Giganto, and fights, and is trying to destroy the Earth, and the Fantastic Four has to stop that. And then in the middle of issue 5 is where Doctor Doom comes into play.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Comic industry news.
I got some stuff for you. I had to write it down on a note card because there was so much this week. One thing we shared to our Facebook page is that Michael B. Jordan is actually going to produce a Static Shock movie. Mm-hmm. Very excited about that. I'm actually hoping that Michael B. Jordan takes a role in it of some kind, but I'm super excited to see who he brings into play into it. During DC fandom, or as Matt calls it, the ex-girlfriend became a doctor video live stream thing that DC did. DC announced that they were bringing back Milestone comics, but they were also going to, which is what launched Static Shock in the first place. But that there was also an icon, and that they also said that there would be a Static Shock movie of some sort, and they didn't really go into detail about it, and then it just came out that Michael B. Jordan is actually producing it. So, way to use the money you made playing Killmonger to make an amazing thing. Thank you, my official industry news reporting with my note cards. I am very excited for a Static Shock movie. I can't wait to see what it is. I really hope that as producer, Michael B. Jordan hires a Jordan Peele to make the movie. It'll be amazing. Can't wait.
Or show.
Yeah, it's a movie.
It's gonna be a movie.
It's a movie. Okay. I hope it's live action, and I hope it's amazing.
Right. Hopefully.
We also, speaking of characters of color who are finally getting their time that they deserve, we might actually have an America Chavez. Or America Chavez is supposed to be introduced in Doctor Strange's next movie, the multiverse movie that it is. We are supposed to see America Chavez come into play. There is rumor that the America Chavez has been cast for that. And the actress is actually from the Babysitters Club show, which you know that I watch the Babysitters Club show on a regular basis on Netflix. It's because I'm a huge Babysitters Club fan. It is all I did as a child was I wanted to read Babysitters Club books, and they actually did hello shop kitty. They actually did some modernization of Babysitters Club, which was actually already like pretty progressive for when it came out, but there is a lot of stuff that happened on the new Babysitters Club. Instead of having a bunch of white girls, they actually, the ones that were, that we had a couple of like blonde white girls on Babysitters Club in the book series, they actually put a couple of, like, they kind of spread that out a little bit and changed ethnicities, and it worked really well. And one of the girls that they brought in is actually, instead of being a hippie girl from California, is now actually a Wiccan girl. From, like, her mom is Wiccan, and they're from California, and they're actually
well, that's new.
the cat, the first time ever made that jump. Wow, I'm super proud of her.
That was cool.
But so they brought in a Latinx girl from to play the character of Dawn on the Babysitters Club, and she will actually allegedly be playing America Chavez. It hasn't been confirmed, but we may or may not have an America Chavez for the movies. I'm super excited about that. If you guys haven't seen that information, I have it ready to go to share to you guys so you guys can see her, because I'm super proud. She's an amazing actress on the Babysitters Club. I'm very excited to see her work. And then the other thing is DC announced this week that they will be doing in January through mid-March, once Death Metal ends, they will be doing DC's Future State, which I know the joke has been made that this sounds like they have all the leftovers of 5G and they have to do something with it. We'll see if that's what it is. But basically, it is coming out of Death Metal. We are going to see a bunch of the DC superheroes reimagined as their younger state. Younger
5G.
5G, exactly. That's why people are saying it sounds like they have leftover 5G stuff and they have to do.
How about they shut down as a company and don't make comics for 2 months and get their shit together?
Hopefully that's what this is. Hopefully they're going to put out all the stuff that they had planned and they're going to get their shit together while they're doing it. But we are going to see Aquaman and Mira's daughter taking over the mantle of the Aquaman character, which, if you guys have been reading Aquaman prior to the announcement that that won't be going forward, they did have a kid recently. So it looks like we're going to see that. Jonathan will take over the mantle of Superman. It does take place in the future. There's a new Wonder Woman, which Jenny Frison has released her art, and I'm very excited to see that because the art is beautiful. There may or may not be a new Deathstroke, but the only thing I've seen anybody on the internet care about is that Red X, who was a character from the Titans animated series, is now actually going to be canon. So, if you,
As what? It's just a
as
character.
Red X is coming into the DC universe, it's the first time from the TV show to the comic books that we're going to see Red X. So, for those of you who were fans of the Titans animated series, this character is finally coming into comic books for the first time in January, February. So, we'll see. I'm interested. Mariko Tamaki is actually the head. The main stories are actually all being done by Mariko. So, this could be good. There are a lot of stories done by Bendis, though, so it could not be good. But this is our lead in to. There's a gap from January to mid March that's like all DC is allegedly going to be focusing on. We'll see how that actually plays out. But that's supposed to be the main thing. There's tons and tons of titles. They're a big thing. And then starting in mid March, we're going to be going back to that. Yeah, Sebastian wonders who Red X is going to be. I'm curious to see how that plays out. Bringing a character from. We've seen Harley Quinn go from TV show to the cartoons to the comics and be a obviously a huge impact on comics. I'm curious to see if Red X has the same impact on the comic book world. I'm curious to see if this is just some like a DC, like I said, throwing. We had a plan, and then we need to do something with it because we already
like
have
they're
all
already
these books.
written.
So we got to do something with them. That's what it feels like. But I am very excited to see what happens in March when this is over.
Don't know. I feel like when you do the order, I'm gonna say subscribers only.
Yeah.
And maybe one for the wall. It doesn't. I don't know. If you guys are interested in this concept, drop it into the comments. I want to cry hearing this news that this is a thing that they're doing at all. So I don't know if I'm in the minority. If I'm not, let me know. Let me know what you're actually thinking on this. But right now, I feel like I'm in tears because I was so excited when they got rid of 5G. Because it's 5G, it's AT&T, it's bullshit. It's right. Like a corporate fucking ploy anyway, which comics are not.
And retailers seem to agree with that mentality. Okay. I know in the retailer group, everybody has been saying like, "Oh, this sounds like we have all these 5G titles and we have to do something with it, so we're gonna make it into a thing." Right. And we're going to try to push it, and nobody seems really excited about it. So I'm curious from the fan side is, as fans of DC or as comics in general, like, are any of you actually interested in it? I know, yeah, Brian says, I think it's a terrible idea. Yeah. I think they already paid for whatever they're throwing out there. Exactly.
Futures End, that's the one I was thinking of. Futures End came out, and it was like, who cares? And they made it a thing, and there were one-shots, and lenticular covers for them were cool.
But the retailer groups are saying it sounds like Convergence all over again. So,
which, if you're interested in Convergence, you can find that in our half-off trades.
Right, we have all of them pretty much in the half-off trades.
In the half-off.
Nigel says he's indifferent. So, yeah, it seems like that's kind of the mentality towards the whole thing is it's not really a thing that's necessary, and so it seems kind of like, I don't know if you guys know this. I saw this just in general that AT&T just released like their financial holdings, and they're super low, like super in debt, and it's because of Warner Brothers and because of DC that they're like super in debt on this. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like they're like, hey, let's not release new stuff. Let's just get rid of anything you have in your that you were planning, that you put on hold, like that you already have and you've already paid for. Like, let's put that out. How can we make an event out of stuff we've already paid for? Again, I'm really excited to see this new Wonder Woman because Jenny Frison did it, and it's beautiful and gorgeous and wonderful. But
it's cool character design.
Right, it's cool character design, but I don't know. Renee says I'm going to read DC no matter what. I'm in, good or bad. Brian says it is sort of, but they say they are going to restart the titles in mid-March where they left off, but some characters will have some knowledge of what happens in future state. Yeah, exactly. So I'm really curious about what that, like, that's why I say I'm curious for March. I'm not curious for January and February.
I'm glad that it's not Batman and the Joker.
Right. It's nice to have an event that's not about them.
Right, absolutely. Like, at a certain point, beggars can't be choosers. And we were just talking that there's like 8 Batman titles on shelves right now. it's like, well, time to do something a little different, and
Right.
it constantly feels like DC is grasping at straws.
Mm-hmm.
DC had a really, really, really strong thing where we used to say, and the Marvel has the movies,
And DC had the comics.
DC had the comics, and that was Rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dan DiDio came in and pissed all over it. So, and changed up everybody's story to bring in Brian Michael Bendis. They haven't recovered yet. But every publisher has ups and downs,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
currently Marvel's up, and their indie writers that they brought in to write their stuff are nailing it. And we'll end up seeing what happens with this. Maybe it's amazing. Maybe things change.
Or
Who
maybe
knows?
what happens in March will be the big shift that makes everything better.
Yeah, exactly.
Sebastian says I'm going to give it a shot and see how it'll be.
Okay, we'll
And-
make sure to order an extra one
Yeah,
for you, buddy.
right. We'll get you Sebastian. But yeah, I'm curious to see. Again, I'm okay with new characters. I'm okay with the idea of new characters and opening it up.
What happened to my silencer and sideways and damage?
Right, and that's kind of where I'm going with that.
Where are
It's
they?
because this is also spinning out of metal.
Yeah.
And the last thing that spun out of metal, we never got to see anything about it. See, and Brian said the same thing. It's also a spin out of metal, and this is where we go. And the last wave of characters, I liked Sideways.
Sideways is a great character. Silencer was cool too.
Silencer was cool, so I'm curious to see. I am also interested because there's the idea that there might be a new Deathstroke, so you always get my attention when you say that. So
Right, because we might as well remake characters rather than having new ones. I'm more interested in the Red X than anybody else.
right, I agree.
And okay,
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, I want to cry, but hopefully, change my mind.
Right, Snyder. Renee says I'll definitely read Nightwing since Snyder's writing it.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, and Sebastian said I missed the Terrifics. I missed Terrifics. We actually have the Terrifics trade on our 50% off thing. So if you're looking for that, we do have it. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that's a lot of industry ups and downs. Right, give me more Sideways. What happened
Sideways
to that guy?
sweet.
He was sweet.
Yeah, Sideways is great. We didn't do a movie review.
We didn't do a movie review.
No. We watched, if you guys saw it on Netflix, really quick, just want to throw it in and a shout out. We watched To Be Halloween, which was like number 1, number 2 on Netflix this week.
Number 2 on Netflix this week.
Happy Madison production. It is Waterboy meets the plot of Billy Madison
during
Halloween in Salem.
Yes. So Adam Sandler, basically playing the water boy, is self-ordained safety monitor for Halloween in Salem, which is a huge, huge deal if you guys didn't know that. And so yeah, he's running. He's just like Waterboy in that he is the super innocent, childlike character,
who's a grown man.
Yeah.
But still has kind of a childlike job. But the children make fun of him because he's a dork.
Right.
But he has a bigger heart than anybody.
Don't spoil it because Brian said he's watching this when it started and he paused it too.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, a lot of heart.
Yeah.
A lot of heart. In that same way, in Billy Madison, where a 7-year-old can watch it and it's fringe, like a little too much for him, like they called the shit poop, and as a 7-year-old you die laughing,
right.
It's a lot of those kind of moments where it's like, oh, they said a bad word, but it was really funny for kids, very slapstick, but a really good moral message.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing is that they dedicated the entire movie to Cameron Boyce, who was Adam Sandler's son in Grown Ups, who played Cruella de Vil's son in the Descendants movies. And he, as a teenager, died of having a seizure in his sleep with epilepsy. So the fact that Adam Sandler has a big tribute to Cameron at the end, the movie itself had a great heartfelt ending. And so you're already having like this slightly emotional moment, and then this giant thing pops up dedicating the movie to Cameron with a little message from Adam to Cameron, and I lost it. So I think that was really fun.
The big thing for me is that I think in the same way that Christmas Vacation sticks with you as one of those family movies that you can watch every year at Christmas time. There's not a lot of family movies that you can watch every year at Halloween time.
Yeah.
Halloween Town is really good, but it's still a Disney movie. So you still have that Disney movie kind of a thing. It doesn't have raunchy
Right.
humor that you can show your kids.
Right. It's not
and
a
laugh.
vacation kind of movie.
Right. You don't laugh at the fart jokes.
Right.
This one you laugh at the fart jokes, or we didn't really laugh at the fart jokes.
But you could.
But you could if you're into fart jokes and you're a kid. You know, when you're a child and you want to laugh at that kind of stuff. There isn't really a Halloween movie that does that. This is probably the first one. And I'm glad that there is one. It's an untapped market.
Yeah.
Which, in really, because it's an untapped market, that's why I wanted to bring it up on the live stream. Because it's important for anyone, whether it's a movie or it's a comic or whatever form of pop culture it is, to hit these untapped markets. Because that's where they're going to find success. I think that Hubie's Halloween is one of those movies that families could watch every year, and, you know, dads and sons could laugh at the fart jokes together for years to come. They called the shit poop. It also brings back the Ben Stiller as the nurse from Billy Madison in the same character role.
And the O'Doyle.
And the O'Doyles.
Yeah.
Do come back and make an appearance. They're different O'Doyles, but it's the same O'Doyle's rules. Joke.
Yeah, it's the same joke. And Castaway says, cool that they filmed it in Salem and other parts. It's true. There's actually, when they show the Salem Witch Museum, you can actually see the bed and breakfast that we were supposed to stay in for our wedding right next door to it. So it is definitely filmed on location in Salem, and I'm super not bitter about that at all.
Yeah. If you guys are Billy Madison fans from back in the day.
Yeah. Or I'm Waterboy fans. If you are Waterboy fans, you're going to love this movie 100%.
Definitely. I never liked Waterboy.
Right.
I like this one way better.
Yeah, and if you're Happy Madison fans in general, you'll like it because everybody that's a friend of Adam Sandler is in this movie.
Yes. He gets everybody back again.
They're on there.
I thought that Happy Madison Productions has fallen off in the last 10 years. I think Grandma's Boy was the last Happy Madison that I really enjoyed. Everything since then has just been like, it's kind of the same poop jokes over and over. This one definitely has the throwback to Billy Madison, which I thought was fun.
Yeah, it has the heart that I feel like some of them have been missing recently.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really good. At the end, because I was kind of like, at the beginning, I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go, and then it gets to the end, and I was like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
And Adam Sandler's been trying to do more of the movies my kids can watch kind of things, and you can definitely feel that when you get to the end of the movie where he's like, hey, the world sucks, but you don't have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I thought that was great. And yeah, it's good that Adam Sandler continues to throw that in there to people, that the most important thing you can do is not be an asshole to nerds.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler has built an entire career on stop being an asshole to nerds, and I appreciate that.
Right. And there are some memorable lines in that same, what are you looking at, Swan?
Right.
There are some memorable lines like that will kind of live on, I hope, from this one. And if you've seen it, come into the shop and talk to us about it.
Yeah.
Which is fun. We're going to do one more giveaway and give something away. I know it's past midnight and it's Sunday and you guys probably want to go to bed. We have been giving away mugs in store from Guardian Knight Productions out of San Antonio. We have a little Guardian Knight prize pack here. This is a bunch of issues of Sanitarium because it's Halloween time. And Gears and Bones Volume 1 trade. And so you get 3 comic books and a mini trade paperback on this giveaway.
And to earn that, you have to tell me, what are Randy's rules on how to survive a horror movie according to Scream 1?
Nice.
I thought you'd appreciate that.
That's a lot, though. That's a lot.
That's 3 rules.
It's 3 rules. You have to type them.
Yeah, type them out. People get it going. You get 3 comics and a trade. You gotta tell me what the 3 rules are. Sanitarium, leave me be. Yeah, if you can tell me what Randy's rules are from Scream, you can, to survive a horror movie, you can get all 3 comics and a trade. And I know everybody's been talking about Scream 5 coming out, and I have multiple friends who were doing a Scream rewatch yesterday. Multiple friends who sent me pictures of them watching different parts of Scream. So, super excited about Scream 5. I know you are because your girl Nev Campbell is back.
The only thing that's been consistent with all the movies.
Right, and
Campbell's in them.
And that's impressive.
She's Scream Queen.
The rules in Scream are a basic set to survive any horror film. You can never have sex, you can never drink or do drugs, and never, ever, under any circumstance, say, I'll be right back. Dang, Brian with the, direct, quote,
Right,
and Sebastian
totally.
at the same time. You can never have sex, you can never drink or do drugs, never under... Both direct quotes. We have enough to give both of them
we have
this,
enough
right?
To give you
yeah.
guys this.
So Brian and Sebastian, you guys are both getting that for the super perfect direct quote of that. You guys can.
Right. Scream movie rules.
Right. It's an IMDb quote.
Google,
it's not hard.
Copy paste. Good job, y'all. Yeah, we will give you guys copies of this. I might even throw in a couple more stuff from Guardian Night because we have it.
Right. We always say I actually have my entire life since that movie came out. Every time I say I'll be right back, or somebody leaving says I'll be right back, I still I'm like,
think I'll be right back. Matthew Lillard style.
Yeah.
Lillard.
Yesterday, my friend Ashley was watching the Scream movies, and she said that I told her that Scream 5 was coming back, and she said, I really hope that it's two children. I hope Stu had some illegitimate child who is grown up and is pissed about it and is the child. And I was like, man, I hope not, because if they start murdering people, his mom and dad are gonna be so mad at him.
He's so mad at him.
And that was only funny if you love Scream.
And if you saw Scream 3, they were put up by the other guy. It was his idea, and he hired Billy and Stu.
Right. Right, and I don't remember Scream 4. I was just talking about this last night with Jeff that I don't know if I actually saw Scream 4 ever. And if I did, I don't remember it. So
I watched it and I was like, that was a movie that Neve Campbell was in and had bangs.
Right, your love for bangs.
Yeah, so much.
BJ said the rules are you do not talk about Scream Club, do not talk about Scream Club, no shirts, no shoes, no belts. Those are also the rules.
Right, apparently.
So, yeah. So there you go. That's it.
Well, sweet.
Yeah. Ooh, and Sai released the rules for all of the different movies. She's got the rules from Scream 2 and Scream 3 in here.
Nice.
Yes.
Right. The rules have changed.
Right.
Shing, shing. It always has the knife blade noises and stuff.
That was your Skeetle Rich look. It was great. Your crazy eye. Just right, you gotta do the hair.
Because their thing was watching The Exorcist got me thinking about us.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Rich,
oh, I love that guy.
Yeah. Riverdale.
Right, as Forsyth
Bring it
P.
on
Jones.
back to comics here.
Yeah.
Viewers are like, what the hell's going on? Skeet Ulrich ended up showing up in Riverdale based on the Archie comics.
He plays Jughead's dad. Forsyth P. Jones the second.
And then Archie's dad is Luke Perry.
Right.
Luke Perry died while shooting the thing. So you got these two classic 90s actors playing the dads of the two classic Archie heroes.
Yeah, it's great. Wonderful. And Molly Ringwald plays Archie's mom on that show. So you go even further than the 90s.
Who's that?
The 80s. 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, Breakfast Club.
Never saw it.
Yeah, I know. You hate the 80s.
Hate the 80s.
Hate the 80s.
Next. Take your members only jackets. Get the hell out of here. The 80s are the reason why Superman had a mullet in the 90s. Get the hell out of here.
Oh, and Jeff said Judd Nelson is his stepdad. There you go.
Who's Judd Nelson?
Also from the 80s.
Get out of here. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, everybody. Hope you guys have a great week. We'll see you at book club tomorrow night at 8:30 on Zoom to talk about Ed Brubaker and Darwin Cook's Catwoman. It's going to be a ton of fun. And stay spooky. Stay very spooky. We'll talk to you next week about some more Halloween-themey things.
Yeah, next week's going to be super Halloween-y. Very...
Super spooky.
Next week will be awesome. Maybe we'll do it in costumes. Who knows? We'll see. Oh, wait. We're going to do Day of the Dead in costumes.
Day of the Dead in costumes.
Just
then
kidding.
We won't reveal them before
the Halloween.
Right.
I already told you guys that I'm going to be, so it's not a secret anymore.
Right.
But
You don't keep secrets.
well, you guys are used to seeing me in costume. It's not a thing.
Yeah,
Anyway,
absolutely.
we'll see you guys tomorrow for book club 8:30 on Zoom. Otherwise, we'll see you in the shop all throughout this week. Lots of new, great, wonderful comics coming out this week. So
We didn't even say that. We're loosely open. We're loosely open. Call over again if you want to come by, but usually there's not appointments.
right on the
It's just
weekends for
kinda
sure.
open.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it's kind of just open. So if you want to
Just
come,
open shop. And Wednesdays.
and Wednesdays, Friday, Saturday, Sundays, show up.
So like all the time because we're closed Tuesdays anyway.
Right. So
So,
Mondays and Thursdays are kind of the only days you sort of kind of need an appointment.
Right. Call over and say that you're gonna come. Be like, hey, can I come over right now? And I'll be like, well, I was fixing to do a delivery.
Right.
I can wait for you. That sort of a deal. But otherwise, yeah, it's just kind of open. Come in. There's people in the shop, people hanging out, watching movies, whatever.
Right.
Keep a mask on.
Yeah. Wear a mask.
Use hand sanitizer. Wash your hands before you come by.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Be cool. Be cool to your fellow humans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the moral of the story. Be cool to your fellow humans. Don't be a dick. Buy comics.
Do dope shit.
I was just gonna say that. I was like, I don't know how to end that without saying do dope shit. And on that note, join Devil's Advocates, a fan club on Facebook, facebook.com/Devil's Advocates. I think is the thing. I don't know. Join it. It's awesome.
I think so.
Do some dope shit. It's
Do
good.
dope shit.
Tell us
about it. Yeah.
There you go.
And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.